Between the two of them.
The inside of Coates.
Barker gets too heavily involved.
And that's Whitehead and Coates.
Good evening and welcome to round 7 of the Virtual Reality Racing Club GT4 eSeries, sponsored by MSL Motorsport Consultancy. My name is Steve Proudley, I'm your commentator for the evening, and I'm joined tonight by Martin Jones. Good evening, Martin.
Good evening, Steve. How are you?
Very well, thank you very much. Looking forward to some exciting racing this evening. A little bit different to what we've been used to in the last 6 rounds. We are at the legendary Nordschleife this evening, so yeah, it's going to be different, isn't it?
This is it's going to be a long, old, interesting race here. One of the cathedrals of motorsport, and we're talking about an 8-minute lap here. So. Guys, there's going to be no +1 lap after each race. Qualifying will be pretty swift on I think it's going to be a 1 lap.
Yeah, that's certainly going to. It's going to make the qualifying very, very interesting for the guys, because as we've seen in practice, just looking at the timings we had earlier, we had laps of in the region of 8 minutes 36, 37, and some of the lads lapping in the 8-minute 50s. So there's a little bit of variation out there, which, to be fair, you can only expect that from such a big lap. And when they do their outlap, they're literally going to pass the start-finish line and get 1 flying lap to qualify with. So it's a full pressure lap for them, isn't it?
Absolutely. They've got really the concentration level in here anyway is really incredible, as it's one hell of a circuit. There's trouble on every corner, every rise, everything, because you can't learn the place. It's well, I'm coming to you from the Isle of Man, where we have the last of the great mega road circuits, the TT circuit.
Yeah,
and
just looking at the last round at Monza there, Martin, and we saw Kletzer take pole position in qualifying, and then in the first race, Dave Marshall took the win from Rod Butler and Jack McIntyre. In race 2, Max Edmondson, Konstantin Kletzer, and Harry Omerod was third in that. So Monza was very exciting, wasn't it? And it sort of, I won't say it shook the championship up, but it just really maybe cemented Dave Marshall at the top of the championship, really.
yeah, it just showed how good Dave is at winning championships.
Yeah, I mean, 326 points just sets him apart from second place Jack McIntyre with 383 at the moment. Maxi Rohrig in third, Rob Butler fourth, Max Edmondson fifth, Tom O'Farrell sixth, Harry Omerod seventh, Rillig 8th, Kletzer 9th, and Dorman 10th. And obviously all those chaps in the top 10 there carry ballast, and Dave Marshall's attacking Nordschleife this evening with 100 kilos of ballast. Now that's going to hurt him a little bit, you've got to say.
Yeah, I think he's taking his mate out with him in the car.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically.
It realistically is. I mean, look at this. We've got 15.7 miles of the circuit for each lap, 25 kilometres, and as you say, that's going to take some serious levels of concentration around there. And it's interesting, when you said it's very, very difficult to learn this track. It is. I mean, from a personal point of view, I've done many laps on here on the sim, and you literally have to break it down into sections and just make the sections. I found I made the sections a little bit bigger every time I did a lap. And just tried to take in a bit more, but it's still full of surprises every single lap. Just a slightly different line can throw up a different challenge and a different reaction from the car.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is used in a fairly reckless way by Pay and Drive and Die on the gate. So yeah, it's one hell of a place.
Yeah, I think we've all seen the YouTube videos of the tourists driving around the Nordschleife, and some of their everyday cars coming to a little bit of grief in the Armco and picking up some huge repair bills on the way as well. The guys are just getting out for qualifying now, and quite literally they're just going to have to sort of take the outlap fairly steady, because nobody wants to make any mistakes, nobody wants to pick up any damage. But you do want to get some heat into those tyres, you want to get things warmed up, you want to get a feel for the track, because there's nothing worse than going around a bit too slow. It does affect your rhythm, you need to be in the zone, as it were, when you cross that line to start your flying lap. But yeah, I mean, there's certainly high levels of concentration required this evening.
Yeah, and for us as well, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, and a lot of fill time as well while these guys are on this outlap, as we were discussing off air. It's it's a long time to wait, and thanks to Mike. Yeah, we've got some just to talk about the prizes we've got this evening. First prize.
Go on. You can explain. I've been dying to ask you, and just improve my ignorance on the prizes here. Go on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can read the list to you, Martin. I'm not sure I can explain too much, but first prize we've got the OBP Esports pedals. It's not some pedals I've used with those, so I can't tell you how good they are, but I would imagine they are an exceptional quality pedals. And we've got
I love OBP, great company.
Absolutely, and I've got SteelSeries Artcis Pro headset as second prize. Now I can comment on those because that is the headset I am currently using at the moment. Third prize is 6 months Pro VRRC membership, which is a great prize because it'll help get you involved with this community and keep the driver involved with this community and keep challenging for more race wins. And then fourth prize, we're looking at 2 1-hour VRRC sim sessions, and fifth prize, a 1-hour online pro coaching. A couple of the lads that are on track this evening do some pro coaching, and they are pretty quick boys, certainly.
Yeah, no, that's a great prize list. Thank you for everybody who's got involved.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome that the sponsors get involved, and put these prizes forward. And the chaps are, they're not just racing for pride; they are racing for prizes. And we've got some fantastic sim drivers, real-world drivers. We've got a really good mix on the grid, and that really shows when you watch the quality of the racing. And if you are new to us this evening and you are watching this for the first time, please be sure to check out the VRRC YouTube channel at some of the past videos, because there has been some absolutely epic racing. I mean, just last week at Monza, we were on the edge of our seats for the whole of the 2 races. It was absolutely awesome.
I think that was a baptism of fire for you.
Absolutely.
It's just that second. The first race was as bad as the second one for excitement. Michael Yao did very well to keep up with it.
Yeah, absolutely. The drivers certainly keep Mike Yao, Simply Race, our producer that brings these brilliant pictures for us, keep him on his toes, trying to keep up with the action, because there usually is quite a lot of action. And as I say, last week there was certainly plenty of it, and it was wherever you looked. We were looking at the timing screens, and wherever you look, there was a battle, and these guys are often only a tenth or two apart as well, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think anybody's in danger of being lapped here, that's for sure. If they are, they're having a bad day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm just wondering how tight qualifying is going to be, because you've got to say, when you're thinking you maybe, I mean, we're looking like we've got 24 minutes of qualifying left, so at most they're going to get a couple of laps in, because that's a lot of fuel to carry to do more than that, before you start impeding your overall speed as well. But how hard do you think they'll attack the lap on qualifying? Because obviously you want to get a banker lap in, but when the lap's so long, it's difficult, isn't it?
Do you know what, and going back to the analogy with the Alaman TT, there was one, the great Joey Dunlop used to ride in the middle of the road and pick his bends. Yeah, and I think that's what these guys are going to do, is really just keep it in the middle. Don't be too bold. Try and remember where you're going. But yeah, it's one heck of a circuit. And we're coming into a really fast bit now, which, if I remember rightly, this is probably the louder bit.
Yeah, absolutely. You're pretty much flat down here into this left-hander, and you're keeping it flat round here before it goes to the right. And again, it's still flat all the way around to the right before you come to what is the left-hander, where I'm not sure in the GT4, because I've not done a lap in it, but I know in the GT3 you do lift off ever so slightly on this next left-hander now, just to keep the nose tucked in a little bit. Otherwise, you can run wide, and that Armco is pretty hard.
Yes, it's very, very unforgiving and not often replaced.
Yeah.
I like in the graphics that they've actually got shiny bits where they've actually copied the replacement barriers.
Yeah, absolutely, and everybody or most people will recognise the next corner coming up as the car tucks into the banked curve here. This is obviously, I think this is the corner that everyone thinks about at the Nordschleife.
Yeah. Oh, whoops. Oh dear. I think Paul Laramie's had a moment. Oh.
That's not what you want on your outlap, and certainly looking very second-hand now, that BMW. He's looking a little bit rippled and a little bit scratched, and hopefully it's not going to have affected his performance too much, because unlike most of the other tracks, you can't really just escape to the pits tonight because the outlap is so long.
I think he'd be parking that tight to the wall in the Hertz rent-a-car return.
Yeah, nothing to see here, so just take the keys.
Move on.
But yeah, I mean, this part of the track is it's interesting as a driver now. I mean, the whole track is interesting, but this pit in particular becomes very technical, and it's very, very flowing, and you can make a lot of time up in this section of the track, because you can just, you see Laramie's going very wide there, not the ideal line, just letting the Mercedes run underneath him. But yeah, when you get to these flowing parts, it's really important to make this section, as all sections, but more so to make that count as someone's getting it. Kenny Press just getting a little bit sideways.
I just lost it off there. Just got to know where you're going. And the Chevrolet and the Mustang, they're going to be a handful around here.
Yeah, I mean, Rich Hayden was demonstrating some drifting qualities last week at Monza. I'm not sure he's got enough room and enough forgiveness in the circuit to really try that this week. The runoff areas, as you can see, are very, very limited, and some of the curbs are very, very steep, so you don't want to be flicking the back end into those, because it will unsettle the car and it will flick you into the Armco, causing damage.
Oh, no. They're brutal. Absolutely brutal here. That McLaren should go well here. Lovely handling bit of kit.
Yeah, the McLaren certainly looks at home when it comes to the the faster corners and the longer straights. It certainly hugs the tarmac very well, and the straight's going to be interesting. As we said earlier, some of these guys are carrying quite a lot of ballast. Dave Marshall, 100 kilos of ballast. So if someone's tucked up behind him in the slipstream on one of those straights, I'm sure they'll be able to take advantage of the situation.
Well, look at the timing board, and we've got Maxi Rolik. Seconds ahead Dave Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, Maxi Rurik there's done an outlap which is faster than some of the guys flying laps in practice. Such is the pace difference, and that's not it's not a reflection on ability. It's just the nature of the track. It's just such a long lap, one mistake, and that's it. You've added 5-6 seconds to your lap, as we see the BMW fishtailing out of the first corner, just maybe putting a bit of extra heat into those rear tyres.
That looks like it's been somewhere it should have been.
Yeah, it looks like it's been modified ever so slightly, but he's on his flying lap now, and he'll be looking to try and put a good lap in as he's going through the arena section there.
Yeah, absolutely. The minute difference. I think that this is the lap that we'll get a good representative time from everybody. And oh, there we go, Rich Hayden. He's fighting the brute around the place.
Yeah, it looks like he's tagging onto the back of a couple of cars there and just following some lines through, and just looking to try and get, like you say, that brute round the lap. And he, in that car, he will do well to take your advice, I would think, Martin, and just really look to point it on the black stuff, not take too much curb, not push it too hard, maybe break that couple of feet to a little bit earlier, just to make sure he's gonna hit the corners and actually get through the lap.
Yeah, I think from my experience around here that the second you think you know where you're going, you don't, because the corners come up so much quicker when you're trying that a little bit harder.
Well, that's it. And when there's no runoff and the corners are so tight, and it's fast and furious in some sections of the lap, if you just outbrake yourself ever so slightly, as we see Rich Hayden and the McLaren there just taking a very wide line, it just affects so many corners, and it can all of a sudden, what was a little mistake can turn into a big loss of time, if not indeed some damage to the car.
Yeah, it's totally right. Graphics are great. The autumnal colours and the trees are very, very good, and all the graffiti there, and little shrines to the 200 plus people that have lost their lives to the circuit.
Absolutely, yeah. I was just going to mention it's absolutely steeped in history. I mean, I think the first sort of layout of the track was back in the 1920, I believe it was, and it's obviously taken many changes throughout the year, and obviously there's been some big names raced here, and unfortunately, sadly, there's been some big names have lost their lives and certainly been injured around this circuit. Yeah,
I think the famous one was literally the end of it as a Formula One venue. It was the 76 when Niki Lauda had his awful accident.
Yeah,
and that was the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's like we say, it's steeped in history. It's it's a track that a lot of people wish to race around. Oh, someone's on the two cars on the grass, and the McLaren collects the back end there of one of the other cars, and that's not ideal there, as that was Ian Smith, I believe. Isaac Smith. That I'm not sure if he came together with Rich Hayden, but then the McLaren just caught the tail end of that. Very unfortunate for him.
And I think Rich Hayden has added to the excitement again. Thank you, Rich.
Yeah, he's always trying, isn't he? He's always at the forefront. He's a fantastic driver and puts everything into these events. And he's certainly got a challenge on his hand with the car for this season.
Oh, it's hugely challenging. Great choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, for us in the commentary position, probably makes him sweat a bit.
Absolutely,
James
James Merrill's just coming up through sort of midsection of the track there, still on his way out from the arena, from the GP circuit, still travelling away at the moment, but he's coming to some of the faster parts of the circuit. But it's as we keep saying, it's very important to get all these entrances and apexes correct, because everything just leads so tightly and so sweetly onto the next one.
Yeah, James's commitment is phenomenal. I'm looking forward to seeing him out on the circuit. That's not far away, I believe. Talking to the guys. So now here we go. This is Rurik, and I would think that he'll be relishing this home race. And I bet he's done a few laps around here.
Yeah, I bet he has, and then as he just throws it in there, and it's so important to get that corner bang right, because if you run wide in that and it throws you out the top, it can cause all sorts of issues for you, and cost you a lot of time and damage to the car. And just finding out, I believe Max Edmondson's had an issue as well on his lap. He's had to bail out of the lap. He's collected the wall. So there's a few of these guys that we come to sort of know and expect in the top sort of half, top 10 certainly in qualifying. They're just having a few issues tackling the Nordschleife this evening, and I think we may find a little bit of a mixed up grid after qualifying.
Yeah, I don't think there's any need for a reverse grid. It's going to be all over the place.
No, I think we should have maybe just done a lucky dip on the grid and just said, there you go, boys, it's not going to make a lot of difference, and just to see what you can do. But yeah.
I'm glad they didn't add the rain dimension to it, otherwise we'd have been finished earlier. I don't think there would be any finishes.
Yeah, the retirements may have been quite high on that one, but yeah, certainly, I mean, we're just on board with Rorik now, and like you say, he's been pretty fast in practice. He's just more or less hitting all the points as he goes around here. I don't think personally watching it, he's pushing, but he's doing what you said. I think he's making sure he gets a lap in. He's not pushing at 10 tenths. Certainly, he's within his capabilities. He just bounced off that curb a little bit, and it pushed him a little bit wide. But he's within tolerance. He's collected it up, and he's just going to head into the right here now, where he starts slowing down, and then down another gear for this left-hander. As he's coming back around now, and he's going to start heading back towards the main GP circuit very shortly.
Yeah, here we go. And yeah, he's just this is a tidy lap.
Yeah, absolutely. These next couple of corners are very important, because you've got to get this line right, because then you bury the throttle into the floor and you just hold it there for what seems like an eternity down this straight now, and coming back towards the stadium.
Yeah, that's one heck of a straight. Almost a third of the circuit.
Yeah, certainly. As you can just see the wipers protesting under the headwind there, as he's picking up some serious amounts of speed now, and the car will just maybe be dying off slightly as they come over this brow, and then it'll just get a second wind as they go into the dip and under the bridge, and pick up a little bit more speed as they head left. And then the driver will then start thinking about braking down nice and gently as he goes through this left, ready for the right left and back onto the start-finish straight.
Yeah, I wonder what he's listening to on his iPod. It's just great line.
Absolutely line. Perfect. And it'll be interesting to see what this lap is, see if it's anywhere near his practice laps.
And he's on to what I have to say is a great facility now.
Yeah, indeed, that's an 8:37, so that's a very good lap. I think in practice he was on an 8:36, so he's not far off his pace.
And look what's going on. That's Dave Marshall, 100 kilos. Oh, hello, Max. Oh, Maxie's out.
Yeah, so Max didn't have the best evening at Monza, did he? He seemed to be struggling with his car there, but so hopefully he'll have a better event this evening at the Nordschleife. But yeah, it's certainly I think he'll want to forget Monza.
He'll be all over this. You know, this is his second time out in the car, or what, third race, should I say? He had a great weekend in his Mini, in the touring car program. So unlucky not to win the race on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously coming into this event on a little bit of a high after the real world antics in the Mini.
Yeah, talk about high. Alex Stoff-Jones had a fantastic weekend. Career first win, second position, 5 trophies for the team, and so we're very happy boys over the weekend. And
yeah, if anybody doesn't, I mean, MSL Motorsport Consultancy, you need to look them up on Facebook, Twitter, all the sorts of social medias, and give them a follow, because you can follow some of these real-world drivers in the real-world antics. And like myself, I was receiving updates over the weekend as to how these guys were getting on. And as Martin's pointing out there was some great success for some of the drivers this weekend.
Yeah, just love them. And all thanks to our media guru, and Phil Thompson does a fantastic job for us, and under difficult conditions with Brendan and I. So yeah, hats off to you, Philip. I know you're watching.
Yeah, interesting. The qualifying, how it's panning out. We've got Rurik with an 8:37.96. We've got Marshall 1.1 second back. We've got McIntyre 1.3 seconds back, and then we've got Rillig 2.1 back. So I mean, those top four are all, they're the two teams that are battling out at the top of the teams championship, as well as Marshall battling out at the top of the drivers championships, and they're all pretty close together. Realistically, a lap of this length, and they're within sort of a couple of seconds of each other. That's as close as you're probably going to get it around here.
I think it's a Bavarian benefit race, this one, by the look of it. Hats off to Alex. The Aston Martin have got a facility here just under the castle in the industrial estate there. They do a lot of product evaluation and testing here, which is quite interesting. And just looking at the Dorman, it's a 10-second gap. I thought the McLaren would be good here.
Yeah, just reading some of the YouTube chat. We've got Marcel in there saying really go, go, go. We've got Gorilla Mods who've produced some fantastic mods for the community, but they're saying Adrenaline Esports for the win. Paolo says hello there, guys. Marcel, Timo, home race for our guys. Go really, go Maxi, go Adrenaline. So yeah, certainly, like you say, it's the Bavarian benefit race, and they're all they're getting some support from the countrymen. So it's certainly it sparks some interest with the viewers.
Excellent. No pressure then.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we're on with Andres Rillig. Again, taking a sensible line, not attacking those monster curbs. No commentators curse at the moment, but that is quick.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. They've got their banker laps in now. Certainly, we're looking at the top five. Toth Jones is 4 seconds off in fifth. I mean that's still respectable, to be fair to him, because the next closest one is Dorman, who's 14 seconds back. So the top five, really, I would say, could probably go out on this second lap and look to attack it a little bit more if they wanted to, and just take maybe not more chances, but just push that little bit harder, maybe.
Yeah, totally. They've got, as you said, they've got the banker lap in, and I'd go for it. Not that it is going to stop any of these guys right down the field here. I've never seen a spread of times in this championship like this.
No, absolutely, but like you say, it's just the track distance that brings up these timings, and you're probably not going to see many times within a tenth or two of each other in qualifying. But certainly, to do a lap around here and be sort of within a couple of seconds is still pretty impressive. And again, on the YouTube chat, Aaron Walker, good evening, buddy. Hope you're well. Be interesting to see how hard the top sort of 5 or 6 are pushing. Certainly Marshall, will he be bothered about trying to push for that pole position? Well, yeah, he's a racer, isn't he? He'd like to take pole if he could. Bearing in mind he's got 100 kilos of ballast on there, he's doing pretty well in second place. His teammate Jack McIntyre, he'd want to put one over on Marshall, wouldn't he, just to get in front of his teammate on the grid, certainly.
Of course, bragging rights in the bar. That's all about it with the teammates. Dave, just hearing that Rillig's had a bit of a moment.
Yeah, and he just entered there a little bit too high, in my opinion. A bit lower down, and he maybe could have pushed a little bit harder through there. So maybe he's just composing himself and just trying to get back on the pace and get back in the groove.
It could be that, as you said, he's pushed it.
I mean, the other thing we haven't mentioned is the tyres, because under a lot of race circuits, you get a long straight every sort of 10, 20, 30 seconds or so at most, whereas around here you can be in twisty corners for what seems like minutes, so the tyres aren't getting much of a rest. So I'm wondering how much the tyres will go off, and on this second lap, is that affecting them? Are they going to get a faster lap? Are the tyres going from under them?
They're bound to. I think there's, how many corners that they're going to last is the question. Certainly, by experience of higher cars, they do about one lap, and then you've got to give them back.
Yeah, I hope there's no hire car companies watching, otherwise you've just been blacklisted around the Nordschleife area. But yeah, certainly, I mean, we're just on board with Merrill's now, and he's sort of 15.5 seconds away from pole position. Again, he'd be 7th on the grid. To be honest, yeah, he'll go around. He'll be trying. He'll certainly want to improve on that time. But 7th place, it's not looking too bad for the start. And to be honest, with these guys on the grid at the moment, looking at a 30-minute race around the Nordschleife, there's going to be opportunities to make positions up. It's so hard, like you said at the top of the show, to try and learn this track, to get every corner perfect on, the probably sort of 4 laps we may be expecting tonight. It's going to be a tall order to remain perfect, squeaky clean all the way around, isn't it, without offering any opportunities to your rivals.
And it's a different dynamic from the start. There's no need to be first into that corner. There are so many corners to make it up. And there's so many places for errors. This is going to be. I don't want to point out the obvious. It's going to be between the top 5, I think. They're the only guys who have really got a grip of it. And then some interesting racing. If you look from 6th down to 11th, there's a bit of a spread there. There's 10 seconds, but it's going to be. Let's see what the race brings. 3 minutes of qualifying to go.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's it. When the lights go green and they all head into that first corner, it's going to be very difficult in respect that they. I don't want to say that red mist will descend, but it does, doesn't it? And the guys, they try to battle for every position. They try to cling on to the car in front, and quite often, with respect to the drivers, if you get one of those slightly slower drivers in front of you around here, it can be very, very difficult to overtake because it's such a tight, twisty track.
Yeah, you can make yourself wide here, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing is, I mean, it's almost like we say at the start of endurance races, it's not won in the first corner, it's not indeed won on the the first lap sort of thing. But it's almost like we are using an endurance circuit for a sprint race, so it's almost like it's still got to go steady. It's not going to be won in the first corner. Indeed, it's not going to be won in the first half a lap. I think it's if you're starting sort of mid-pack and down, you would do probably as well just to try and keep clean, stay out of trouble, just follow the cars through the first few corners and just play a watching brief on those cars ahead and start to push once you come to the back end of the first lap maybe, and see where you can make up some positions on some of the longer straights.
Yeah, that's sound advice. Let's see what happens.
the best laid plans. Emmanuel Vinks in the chat, and he says he's just shouted out in capitals adrenaline, P1 and P2 today. So Emmanuel's obviously supporting adrenaline as well, and as we said earlier on, the support is certainly there for these guys this evening.
I'll tell you what, it's the racing drivers, they're just going to get stuck in. Okay, 150. That should pretty much it. And look at that at the top there, less than a second. That is brilliant on a circuit this long.
Yeah,
as you said, Jack McIntyre has gone. Have some of this, Dave.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's it, isn't it? McIntyre's gone for that. He was going for pole, obviously, but he's gone for P2 at least, and he's got in front of his teammates for the bragging rights as the clock ticks down to 1 minute 20 seconds left, and we're seeing some of the cars now bailing out and entering back into the pits. That was a very brief 30 minutes, wasn't it?
I'll be sweating like Olympic athletes. Just, they won't be liking that.
But just seeing there that obviously some of the drivers have succumbed to track limits as they don't have a best time on the board. Max Coates, Larmy, Press and Mellors all seem to have struggled to get a lap in. We know, I think it was Mellors, wasn't it, that was involved in the incident earlier on as well?
Yeah, that's right. Where's our Mr. Muscles? Where's he tonight? I don't see him out.
No.
Can't have got his new socks.
No, absolutely not. No, he's maybe in talks with the advertising space and just maybe trying to get a better deal. But yeah, he's just a busy chap. Maybe not had time to put the practice in for this circuit. But yeah, James West is not on the grid this evening.
Well, that's a shame. He'd have enjoyed here. It's always great watching him go around.
Yeah, it would
be. The coolness of his sim room.
As I say, it's nice to hook into his stream and just admire the mood lighting and the socks. It's fantastic.
I must ask him if that's a shed of pleasure or it's a room in the house.
Yeah, maybe a conversation for a private call rather than an interview.
Could be.
But yeah, we see Max Edmondson's in 12th place. He had that incident, I believe, with the wall on his first flying lap, so he's done okay to, he still managed to get a lap in, albeit a fair way off the pace. Got Rillig in 4th, who we're following round now, who's still pushing pretty hard by the looks of it. That BMW certainly looks like it's under pressure.
He's on a lap. Just don't know what we're looking at the sector times here. Yeah.
So right. we're looking at Rillig, and we believe that he's the last man out on track who is actually on a lap. So we'll follow Rillig round and just see what he can do as the clock has wound down. It has hit 0. So Rillig will be the last man to complete his lap, just to see if he can improve from 4th place, 2.9 seconds back, to see if he can get in front of Marshall, McIntyre, or indeed Rurik.
Yeah, that's. He's going.
I was going to say he's pushing, but he's on one of the faster parts of the circuit, so the car didn't look to be protesting too much, but he was certainly he was pushing that BMW hard. As we just see him there, and we were just sort of riding at the side of him at the moment with this through this flat left-hander into this next left, which is maybe a slight lift if you get the line slightly wrong, flat if you hit it correctly. And coming into a reasonably heavy braking zone now to the right-hand side.
Yeah,
just keeping it fairly tight now and hammering it hard up over this small crest into the carousel. They've been looking for a slingshot through the carousel now and trying to get on the power as he comes out. Looks to be a very nice line through there.
Yeah, he's just. Obviously, we'll have to wait to see, but it does look like a cracking lap.
I believe this will be his 3rd lap, won't it? He'll have got through. Well, with his out lap, he'll have got. This will be his 3rd flying lap, in fact.
Yeah, it's sneaky.
Which is interesting because obviously if this is his 3rd flying lap, which we believe it potentially is, obviously in those early laps where he's only 2.9 seconds off pole, he was obviously carrying a lot more fuel.
Yeah, he must have been. He must have been fueled up for this. And technically, if he's light and he's kept his tyres in, he should absolutely fly. But no, I don't think he's. Just looking for some information here, but not sure. I think he's may have missed. Oh,
took a lot of curve there, but he's still.
A lot of curve. He's having a good go at this.
Yeah, he still thinks there's an opportunity to make time up. I mean, it may be that he's maybe slightly down at the moment, but he may obviously as a driver he may know that in the latter part of the lap he lost time on his best, so he's. Got areas to improve, so he's going to keep pushing all the way through.
Yeah, well, he's racing national pride here. He wants to be up there. He wants to win this.
Yeah, well, his teammates on pole position as well. So it's not just about national pride; it's about team honours as well.
yeah, bragging rights in the bar.
Absolutely. McIntyre's managed to do one on Marshall, so Rillig will be trying to get that pole off his teammate as well. As he's coming now really to the homeward stretch of the circuit, he's going to go around those right-handers, bury that throttle into the floor, and just literally sit there and wait for the next corner, because this is one hell of a long straight.
Yes. We're not far off learning what he's done.
No, and he's just going to be pulling up the hill now, and the engine revs will just die off ever so slightly as he comes up there. But once he crests the brow under the bridge, it'll start to pick up again. Just goes into the left-hander, and then he's going to go into the right, then left again, and into a braking zone, a reasonably heavy braking zone.
Yeah, it's here we go.
Into the last left, onto the
onto the new part.
Yep, start finish, and we will now find out what his lap time is. And he does improve.
Yeah.
He's gone faster than Marshall with an 8:38.4. So still almost a couple of seconds off his teammate, but an improvement nonetheless, and just advantage Rillig over Marshall.
You know, that did look quick.
It was a very nice lap. I mean, we've got Maxi Röhrig in pole position with an 8:36.255. Alongside him, Jack McIntyre, second row, Andreas Rillig with Dave Marshall, third row, Toth Jones with Kletzer. Then we've got Andy Dorman, and we should wait for the screen to refresh for me. It works all kinds of wizardry.
Yeah, it was sorting itself. Oh, here we go.
Andy Dorman, Max Edmondson, who we know collected a wall on one of his outlaps. Then we've got James Merrills, we've got Mika Rask, Harry Umrod, Andy Carroll, Tom O'Farrell, Rich Hayden in the Mustang down in 14th. So he's in for an exciting race in the Mustang. And then we've got Kenny Press, Mellors, Lamy, and Thorne rounding out in 20th place in the Mercedes.
Yeah, great effort. Cat MP sends her regards and apologies. I think she's been delayed by the fact that the UK is getting back to its usual traffic chaos, which is a real shame.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, Cat.
Yeah, I mean, what can we expect? I mean, what's going to happen tonight? I mean, is it going to be a race of attrition? Is it going to be that the lads get away clean and basically it's nose to tail? We're going to find out very, very soon.
Yeah. Top 5. It's going to be a squabble for the first half lap. I think the top 3, top 4 will disappear, and it's going to be it's going to be interesting racing it back a bit. But yeah, mistakes. It's if you start pushing, and as our friend said on live comment, adrenaline, and you're a racing driver. That's what you live for. That's the buzz. Yeah, and it's as we've said, you know, the mistakes are going to be the things that you know, cause the issues this evening, and on such a tight track like this, quite often it can be the case that if you get one car making a mistake in front, it can also hold up 2 or 3 cars behind as well. You know, it has knock-on implications, because it's not always easy just to drive round an issue on this track. Certainly, you can cause other drivers problems. Yeah, we saw that with the Lauda crash back in '76, with those iconic images that people still drove into him in the middle of the road. On fire. Yeah, I mean, there's so many blind crests, blind apexes, you know, corners just flowing one into the other, where you're literally looking maybe 10, 20 yards in front, sometimes at best. So you haven't really got much of a hope of seeing what's around the corner. Hopefully everybody keeps it pointing the right way. We don't want to see any incidents. We just want to see nose-to-tail racing. We want to see some good overtakes. I'm hoping we're going to see some slipstreaming and drafting up the back straight on the homeward straight and up that hill under the bridge. It'll be interesting, and it'd be nice to see what Rich Hayden can do in the big old Mustang along that power straight, and see if he can haul it up a few places from where he's starting on the grid. Okay. We're just going to play some adverts, get some information from our sponsors, and we'll be right back after these short videos.
Well, get your drinks ready, get the popcorn out. The race is going to start very, very shortly. We're going to see these, I believe it's 19 cars, take to the Nordschleife for 30 minutes of racing as we're going to the red lights now.
Here we go. And go, go, go. Well,
lights out and away we go. What the anticipation there as those lights held those guys for quite a long time.
They held them for a long time. That was a bit cheeky.
For a long time, but down to the first corner now. It all looks relatively clean at the moment, side by side. No one making any silly moves. The two Adrenaline Motorsports guys eyeing up the 1010 car there and looking to maybe try and squeeze in, but it's all pretty much line astern as they go through there. Following each other just at close attention but respectable distances and keeping it pretty clean from what we can see.
Yeah, great start. And yeah, pretty much what we thought.
Yeah, so Dave Marshall, is it Dave Marshall out in the lead at the moment? It is, isn't it, with the 100 kilos of ballast, so that'll be interesting to see how he can manage that weight difference. As we've just seen the MSL car trying to go down the inside of McIntyre there, but I think McIntyre managed to just get that door shut in time.
Yeah, and I think it's Konstantin Kletter who's made a great start as well.
Absolutely.
Qualifying's interesting because you're racing pretty much against the circuit. These guys, once you get the sort of the bait in front of you, you do kind of go for it a little bit more. It's that space you want.
Yeah, apologies, it is actually McIntyre that's out in the lead. I called it as Marshall, but it is McIntyre that's managed to get the jump on Rurik and take the lead. And we're on board with Toth Jones now, who's challenging Marshall. And as I said, Marshall has got that 100 kilos of ballast. But as we head into the Nordschleife Green Hell for real now, even with the 100 kilos of ballast on, he's going to be a very hard car to overtake because we know that Marshall is no slouch. And Lamy just getting the wrong way around.
Laramie again.
Yeah, and as we said, it's very difficult for anyone to see what's around the corner, so did very well to avoid him there.
Yeah, great graphic this.
Yeah, it's looking like Marshall's getting a little bit fruity behind Rillig as well, and he's sort of putting him under pressure in the early laps. And I know they've just come straight off the back of qualifying, but some of the guys will take a few moments just to get back up to speed after the short break on the grid.
Well, you are working hard in these rigs. There's no doubt about it. It's a good workout, and you do need to hydrate. And this is no easy place. You lose the concentration, and you are in the boonies.
Yeah, on board with Max Kurtz now as well, up behind Tom O'Farrell in the McLaren, who's behind Rich Hayden in the Mustang. So they'll be looking for the slipstream here because this can be an overtaking opportunity down here, albeit you've got to be a lot closer than Max is at the moment, and you've got to be pretty brave because it's a very fast left-hander.
Like something went off there quite heavily.
Yeah, Marshall's still applying the pressure to Rillig. He's staying very, very close behind that the other BMW there. So it's BMW, and BMW. So it's the home mark is doing very well on the circuit this evening so far. But Marshall is he's pushing Rillig there, almost looking like he was going to try and nip onto the inside. But again, Rillig just kept his line, turned in and blocked that move.
He certainly wants this. Dave Marshall knows that there are good championship points here to be had.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Dave Marshall is leading the championship at the moment from Jack McIntyre. Rurik is in third. Rillig is down in eighth. So championship-wise, Rillig will still obviously be working for points. But it has to be said at this stage in the championship, he's on 191 and Marshall's on 326. He's not really a contender to take the fight to Marshall in the championship, but obviously they're racing for honours this evening.
Yeah,
absolutely. He's side by side there as Marshall.
Oh, he's got him.
He's managed to put that move on him. He got on the side by side and he was on the inside for that bend, and there was nothing really could do about that. And Marshall now is going to be looking to pull away, and indeed he's I won't say he's got a gap, but it's the biggest gap it's been on this lap so far.
Yeah, I was one eye on this scrap that was going on because I could see from Max Coates on board that he was catching catching the guys in front, and Rich Hayden. Oh, big mistake there from Carl. That's a shame.
Yeah, and that's the issue. That's the issue, isn't it, when they're running so close together as well? Sometimes you will miss those braking points or those turning points, and you can just, that's it, you're off the track, you're onto the grass, and you aren't slowing down or turning the car when you've got wheels on the grass. But Max Coates, it's like we said in the qualifying, he's just sort of sat there, he's followed those guys around, putting a little bit of pressure on them, but not doing anything silly, and he's just picked up a position straight away. Now he's obviously going to let Rich Hayden know he's there and fill his mirrors and just keep applying the pressure to Rich. And we know how that Mustang will protest when you try and take some of these higher speed corners. It will try and step out of line a bit. So Rich has got his hands full with the Mustang and with Max Coates at the moment.
He's going to, all the mirrors are going to be full now. It depends on whether Rich Hayden's taking the mirrors off.
Yeah, absolutely. He's probably got his blinkers on and just looking forward. The McLaren runs really wide there. I mean, that is pretty much a flat left-hander unless you get the line wrong, which he obviously did then, and he ran wide. I'm not sure he connected with the barriers, but he certainly will have lost some time. He would have had to lift out of that one.
This is a test day nightmare gaggle here. It's just there's a lot of racing going to go on here.
Yeah, we've got Merrill's putting Edmondson under pressure, who's putting Omrod under pressure, and we're looking at Max Coates, who's spun in the carousel. And he's having to do the obligatory three-point turn to get going again in the right direction.
Wasn't the plan, Max? I did ask him to take a shortcut.
And that's looking like Omrod's gone really wide there, put the wheels on the grass, and that car's lost a lot of time and a lot of positions. He's down now to 11th place.
Yeah, you were saying something about attrition, weren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. I wasn't quite expecting it in the first half of the lap, but to be fair, I mean, on a tight circuit like this, when the cars are paying such close attention to each other, and it's the opening lap, they are going to be put under a lot of pressure, and the mistakes will be happening as we see. Merrill's just run wide again. Not Merrill, sorry. It was that Rask, wasn't it?
Rask,
yeah.
And look who's come up to join the party. It's Rich Hayden.
Yeah, so Rich is doing what we said. And Rich, commentator's curse there, I'm afraid, Martin. He just tried to get the power down, I think, just as early as the boys in front to try and keep up with them, and he just protested a bit. And that's Rask again. That's a big one. That's going to have some damage, and hopefully he'll keep it off the track and nobody else will collect him. But yeah, that's really unfortunate. But that's Hayden back up another position. So he qualified in 14th. He's now up to 11th. So he's making good progress.
Rillick's had a mad...
Yeah, Rillick's got some serious damage there, and he's certainly running a little bit too much toe on the front end there by the looks of it. He's limping back round. That looks like race done for Rillick, which is really unfortunate.
What a shame. He was going so well. That is a real shame for him.
Yeah, that must have been a big off, because that's done a lot of damage there. But we've got McIntyre leading by literally just over 6/10 from Rurik, and we've got Marshall 3 seconds back, as we're seeing Rillig's looking like he's got no option but to park it, unfortunately. So he's going to be reset race 2, bring it on.
Yeah, I think that's an F4, not a Control-Alt-Delete, that one.
Yeah, that's go back to the garage and explain it to your crew chief. It's not ideal. On the opening lap of the first race this evening, one of the potential race winners has done some severe damage, Rillick, and he's out of the race, which is leaving Jack McIntyre in first place. Rurik has just lost another 10th. He's 7/10 off the pace. Marshall is 3 seconds back. Toff Jones 2.6 back from that. Kletzer in 5th. Dorman 6th. Edmondson 7th. Omrod 8th. Hayden up to 9th now. Merrill's 10th, Rask 11th. Rask certainly had a few incidents this lap. O'Farrell's had his share of incidents. He's in 12th. Max Coates, we've seen have a spin and do a 3-point turn in the carousel in 13th.
Yeah.
As we're seeing Hayden. Hayden's had an incident now as well.
Yeah.
So he's looking like the Mustang stepped out there, and he's tried to remodel one of the walls around the circuit.
I just saw it step out like a space hopper. He hit a curb on the inside really hard, and then must have got into the barrier.
Yeah, absolutely. And racing around the Nordschleife, it's not a great feeling to think that you've got some damage on the car. There's just over 20 minutes left on the clock. You've got a couple more laps to do around this circuit and carry that damage, and it's a difficult track to do that, isn't it?
It's absolutely. Thorne's out on a DNF. He normally goes well. That's a shame.
Yeah, Max Coates is looking to put a bit of a recovery drive in. He's looking to go fairly well. Oh, Farrell's really struggling with that McLaren this evening. I've seen him running wide onto the grass on several occasions, and even there through the arena section, that McLaren was looking very, very tail happy, which isn't ideal again around such a technical circuit like this. You need your car a little bit more planted than that.
Yeah, no, Farrell, he's normally there or thereabouts. That's probably explains it. The front end there, that's not going to help.
No, look at the side there. Yeah, I mean, we have on the first lap we did see him have a few incidents of rubbing against the walls and things, as we said, as he ran wide. So maybe he's just picked up enough damage that it's upset the handling of the car now, and he's going to be a bit loose. But as I was just saying a few seconds ago, 20 minutes just under to go. That is your worst nightmare around the Nordschleife, to be carrying damage around such a long lap here. It's not difficult, as we've seen the McLaren really fully drifting through the chicane there as they start to head out now onto the Nordschleife track. And again, stepping the back end out, it is very, very loose. He's going to be sweating after this race.
He's absolutely, but he's on it. He's chasing them down. Fair play.
Yeah, and it's looking like Rurik's still keeping in close attention with Jack McIntyre. He's managed, he's pulled that 10th back. They're still around about 6/10 apart. Marshall's losing time. He's losing half a second or so all the time now. He's down to 3.7 back, and as they entered back onto the GP circuit, he was only 3 seconds back, so he's lost 7/10 in a very short space of time.
Yeah, you watch Dave Marshall. He'll be watching. He'll know. He doesn't have to do that much, and if these two get into a tangle, which there's a very good chance they will do any minute or any second now, he just knows what to do. He is the Prost of esports.
Absolutely, yeah. Just apologies there. He had a technical issue with my headphones switching off, but I am back.
Oh, here we go. It's Max Coates having a... Yes, he's through.
Yeah, Max is one of those drivers. I mean, I don't know Max. I've seen him race quite a bit with VRRC. I've watched a lot of the races. He seems to be your sort of stereotypical battler. He seems to relish a challenge, and he never gives up.
He's just great. Yeah, I enjoy his company, and I enjoy watching him race. He is a proper racer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had the pleasure of seeing him racing in the real world many times, and he applies the same sort of standards to the sim racing as he does in the real world. He just, like saying, never gives up, and he loves a battle, and he will battle very, very hard. As we see, Farrell maybe just trying to take advantage of Max running a little bit wide there, but Max managed to cut it back and maintain position. So that's Max Coates in 12th, O'Farrell in 13th. Both have had their incidents, but I think O'Farrell's car's maybe slightly more battered than Max's.
I think it's a race between two hurt beasts here.
Yeah, again, Farrell running very wide. He just seems to be struggling to either, he doesn't seem to get the car turned in, and when he does get it turned in, it seems to be a little bit loose on the back.
That front end is just giving a massive understeer.
Absolutely, and we're just looking up ahead now. I believe this is Jack McIntyre and Rurik, and Rurik's really closed that gap right down now, and he's applying the pressure to McIntyre now as they're coming to some faster but still twisty parts of the Nordschleife circuit.
Just keep on this rack and watch the lights on the dashboard here, which. It'll show you just how hard they're pushing the car here. This is going to be great. This is important for Dave Marshall. How this pass comes off in two ways. One, if Rurik gets past, then the gap is, the points damage is limited. If they collide, then Dave Marshall's in the perfect place. He's 4 seconds behind and can avoid the collateral.
Yeah, and I mean, just watching McIntyre there, he's, you know, Rurik's taking a much tidier line than McIntyre. I think McIntyre is being guilty at the minute of just maybe looking in his mirrors a little bit as well, but both taking the carousel very nicely there, and not too much time lost
Good
or
line
gained there, but they're very good lines, and McIntyre got a good exit out of there and just maybe stretched a couple of yards on Rurik. But Rurik certainly, like you say, he's committed, he's putting him under pressure, and you can see the rev counter on the dashboard there was just blinking in frustration at wanting another gear, but it just wasn't worth changing. It just hung it there, kept the power in, and yeah, he's just coming to some of the very fast, very technical, but very, very crucial parts of the circuit now.
Yeah, here we go, and you just saw Dave Marshall flashing in the background there. He's far enough away if anything goes wrong, which he'll like, and he's far enough away, got ahead of Toff Jones, who's having a very solid race in fourth.
Yeah, and it's looking like you know, Max Coates has broken.
Oh, there's a mistake there.
Just a mistake, yeah, and just looking at the timing, Max Coates has broken the toe of O'Farrell. O'Farrell's 14 seconds back now, so while we're watching this battle up front, Max Coates has got himself some breathing space. But yeah, Rurik is going for the win. It's his home circuit. He wants to get past McIntyre, and if he can, he's flashing his lights. If he can keep as close as he is, if he doesn't force a mistake in this part of the track, he's certainly going to be in prime position for a slipstream coming up the straight.
Yeah. Edmondson, he's going well. That Audi is a great bit of kit in real life. A friend of mine's got a manual V10, bloody quick.
Yeah, awesomely quick cars, and they sound very, very nice as well.
Oh, they sound great.
Yeah, as we see now, McIntyre's just coming into the next left-hander. They're almost back to the long straight and homeward bound for the stadium section. He's just going to have to keep it there, and it's looking like he's safe at the moment for the next couple of right-handers. Get this line right, keep it planted. It's never been more important for him with Rurik right up behind him, and you can see Rurik's keeping a pretty good line. Both of them have got a good drive out of there, but Rurik is now going to pick up this slipstream. Let's just see how effective it is, because we've got two cars, obviously both the same cars, both BMWs, and both literally going to see that rev counter flashing away for a long time once they get further up the straight.
That was bouncing. He's got a toe now. This is going to be interesting. Oh, he's got him.
He's got the lead, but he's still side by side, I think, as they come up here. It's just, you know, is he going to maintain that lead? Is he far enough in front? And I think he is. I think he's virtually got the car in front of him now. Indeed he has, and McIntyre's had to drop back behind him. But that's going to, I believe the battle will go on to the start-finish straight now, and McIntyre may look to get a slipstream into turn one.
That was a good, clean move, that fair play there. That was good racing. Oh! There's a problem.
Yeah, McIntyre's gone into the pits.
Oh,
but
no.
Rurik has just set the fastest lap of the race with an 8:38.4, so that's a pretty good lap from Rurik. Oh, I
don't like that. That's such a shame for McIntyre. That the system's picked him up on something. Must have been at the start.
Yeah, maybe a start infringement. Not quite sure.
Well, he did take the lead, didn't he, from the start? So that tends to indicate, because he's done nothing wrong actually out there in the race. No, they were running some very, very, very clean lines, and some really great racing from both those guys. But now that puts Rurik in a very safe and very commanding lead. Marshall 4.5 seconds back in second. So Marshall won't be too disappointed with second place with 100 kilos of ballast on board. He'll be pretty happy with that. Toff Jones, though, performance after he's some great driving, throughout the championship, now up to third place. Jack McIntyre showing in fourth. I did say to Alex, once you get used to winning, it really is addictive. Yeah, very much so. It's a great feeling, isn't it? You certainly want more of it. Yeah, exactly. And the results start to come once you've broken the duck. I remember when I was working with Mansell, and he was forever waiting for the day when he had some luck to win his first race, and then he couldn't stop. Oh, here we go. I was going to say Max Coates and Rich Hayden. That's an interesting pairing. Not one I'd want to get in between, I don't think. But it looks like Max Coates has
I'm not sure if he's defending or attacking at the moment on Rich Hayden, but certainly he's got the upper hand and he's in 10th place with Rich in 11th. I mean, to be fair to Rich, he's not having a bad race in the old Mustang round here. It's not. I think it will be the most difficult car on the grid to get around the Nordschleife at race pace. Would you agree?
Yeah, but he's not finished yet, is he?
No, he's attacking. He's attacking.
He's tenacious. Oh, this is fun. As we said at Monza, it was the Rich Hayden show.
Absolutely, and he's certainly, you know, when they're on the circuit there, he's certainly managing to put pressure on Max. But I think Max might just have the edge once they start heading out now onto the circuit proper, as it were, and that Aston will start to pull away a little bit from the Mustang as, you know, Rich is just running onto the grass there, and just using every inch of track and a little bit more. But just on board with Merrill's below, following Omrod, another close battle on track. And he's making up a bit of time as he's just using the curbs correctly there and just managing to, you know, take a better line through the corner than Omrod did, and he's just closed up ever so slightly on him. But yeah, Max is certainly he's putting the lap times in, he's putting the pace in, and he's trying to break Rich Hayden. But Rich Hayden, to be fair to him, he's still hanging in there. He's still keeping Max under pressure and keeping him honest.
I think he must have listened to me, Rich. He's driving it in the middle of the circuit, which is that's the thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Rich has had an accident on the first lap. He's done a bit of damage to that car, but equally so as Max Coates. So it's all pretty level pegging, I think, with incidents and damage. They're all driving with a little bit of damage, as it were, but still pushing hard and still racing hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Great scene.
Yeah, Marcel in the chat, I couldn't agree more, but he just says, what a race, exclamation mark. It is, it's fantastic, it's not disappointing. This GT4 series, I've only been involved for 2 weeks, and Monza was my first week last week, and I have to say, absolute pleasure. It's awesome racing, and great respect from all these guys, and great respect to these guys. They're really putting the laps in, they're trying as hard as they can, and there's some fantastically close racing.
Oh, it's exhausting. I love it. Absolutely love it. And look at those graphics. That's brilliant. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, Merrill's has closed right up now on Omrod, hasn't he? He's managed to get that down to just under 3/10. So he's...
yeah, he'll fancy this.
This is brave. This is
around the outside,
side by side, and he's just had to sort of concede the position there. And but yeah, Omrod's certainly. He's under pressure, and I think he's feeling that pressure as well. But it has to be said that BMW is looking a little bit battered as well, whereas Merrill's Porsche is looking in a little bit better condition.
It's kept himself out of it. Found the old pink pig's looking good. Look at that drop there. That's just a great graphic. It really shows you the undulations on this circuit.
Yeah, and it just shows you how difficult the circuit is to drive, because, you know, when you come into those braking zones, when the track drops away like it does, the braking becomes so much more difficult, and then you go into the next corner and it's uphill, and again the braking distances change again. As you said right at the top of the show, it's such a difficult track to learn. There's so many variations on it, and it takes so much skill to get round here at the pace these guys are going at. And you know, Merrill's is doing a great job of just sticking behind Omrod, because again, following someone that close is very, very difficult, because you can't always see your braking points, you can't always see your turning points. You know, you are putting a certain amount of trust in the driver in front while trying to keep him honest and keep him under pressure.
Yeah, absolutely, because how many times have we seen in racing where the guy in front, you're following him closely, the guy in front goes wide, you go wider, and then you're in the barriers. Great racing. James's front view camera must be absolutely brilliant on this one.
It'd be awesome, but I bet you can't see an awful lot.
No. see a couple of brake lights if they're working, because they look pretty bashed.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a different skill set. I mean, racing fast, putting fast laps in is fine, making overtakes is fine, but driving as close as that to the car in front for as long as he is, as he throws it into carousel, makes a bit of time there, just got maybe a bit too tight on the turn and just clipped the inside curb. But you know, it's a different skill set, isn't it? Being able to drive that close, it takes so much more concentration.
Yeah, plus you get all sorts of nasty things from the car up front. You get the heat, The heat. Oh, that's he's got a bit leery there. But you get the heat from the car in front. It makes your car hot. You get hot because it's still the air. The air does come through into you, and you're concentrating harder.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just seen Risk and Hayden having their battle, and it looks like Hayden's managing to maintain position, although he's lost touch with Coates somewhat now, as we thought he might do. But back to Merrill's and Omrod, and Merrill's is really keeping him honest. Coates is in 10th place behind James. James in 9th, Coates in 10th. Coates is 13 seconds, albeit a 10th back. So James has got nothing to lose behind. He can afford to concentrate on Omrod. As Omrod's run onto the grass, surely that gives James the
he's got him
there. He's got him, hasn't he? And just applying that pressure for what was just over half a lap, I would say, has just paid dividends for him there. He just now needs to carry on in the same manner, get the corners right, get the braking zones right, and keep the power applied when he can, and just try and brake him.
Yeah, I think Harry must have had a problem there because he's won a race this year. He's normally there or thereabouts. Great graphics again. Just love the way they do this.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Mike Yao, Simply Race, bringing us these pictures this evening to commentate on and to show the viewers at home what great racing we have at the VRRC GT4 Esports Championship. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Just back to the front of the race, we've got Rurik, who's done 2 laps. Marshall's 6.8 seconds back in second. Toff Jones a further 5.9 seconds in third. Jack McIntyre 3.1 back in fourth. Kletzer 5th, Dorman 6th, Edmondson only just under 1 second behind Dorman in 7th, and we've got Omrod looking to slipstream Merrill's and use the BMW power to pass the Porsche on the climb back up towards the main circuit.
That'd be a difficult one. Pass the Porsche Pink Pig.
Go on, I'll follow your lead.
I've said it once.
I'm not even going to attempt it.
Well, here we go.
But it looks side by side now. Now that he's got him done just at the last throw. Really, that was in the nick of time, because much longer and James would have had the advantage for the inside of that fast right-hander. But he's got it done again. So James now, he knows he can do it. He'll keep the pressure on him. It looks like the BMW is carrying quite a bit of damage. It wasn't handling the greatest through some of the twisty stuff. So they're going to be going out onto the last lap now. So James just needs to try and get that overtake done a little bit earlier in the lap if he can. So that it gives him chance to maybe make a break from the BMW to avoid that slipstream overtake again.
Yeah, definitely. And he won't give up. Oh, Harry's gone wide. James had a bit of a moment there as well, so sort of neutralised.
Yeah, just
look at McIntyre catching Toff Jones.
Yeah, I was just going to say McIntyre's catching Toff Jones. It looks like Edmondson's had a bit of an issue because he was within a second of Dorman, but he's now 2.5 back. But the main battle on the track at the moment is this one that we've followed for virtually a lap now, and it's James Merrill's on Harry Omrod, the Porsche against the BMW. And we saw the Porsche get through the twisty stuff faster, as he's already doing, applying the pressure to the BMW constantly, relentlessly, just keeping him honest. But then when it came to the power of the straight back towards the circuit and the stadium, the BMW just seemed to manage to, I won't say power past the Porsche. He didn't make it easily, did he, Martin? He used the slipstream, he got alongside, and he just did enough to get in front before they got back to the corners.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did, and did it well. But James isn't going to give up, that's for sure.
No, I mean, we saw Harry just rode his luck a little bit, I would say, in the last lap. He went off the track several times, and then he did it in one corner that just allowed James to actually get the move done on him. So he just needs to be careful this lap and try and avoid that green stuff.
Yeah, look at McIntyre. It's 1.2 seconds now to Toff Jones. Alex will have to make that Aston really wide. Yeah,
again, that'll be an interesting slipstream battle if he manages to keep him behind all the way around, because that will be BMW against Aston Martin, and neither of those cars are slow in a straight line.
No, No, there's a lot of grunt with that Aston, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and Merrill's has just dropped off a little bit, but that's it's a faster part of the first quarter of the circuit here. But we saw him on the previous lap. He will close that gap up. I have every confidence in him, and once they come to the tighter stuff, he will be all over the back of that BMW, and he will try and get a move on him as soon as possible, because that's what he needs to do. Just now following McIntyre on the main screen as he's closing right up on Toth Jones. He's still 1.2 back. But he has been closing over the sort of last half a lap or so. He's closed that gap right down, and he's got it down to that 1.2. It's just nipped up to 1.3, but I think that's just circuit variation with where they are. So definitely closing up, and definitely looking like he's going to be trying to put a move on him before the end of this race.
Yeah, there you go. Twisty bits 0.9. BMW does handle well around here. The Aston's got the grunt on the straight, I hope. Just put my MSL hat on there, but
I was going to say that's your MSL hat. I mean, to be honest, I'm pretty impartial, as all good commentators should be. I just want to see a good scrap, and I'd like to see him cross the line a tenth apart. That would be absolutely awesome. But I think it will. I think both these battles, McIntyre, Toth Jones, Merrill's, and Omrod, I think we're going to see overtakes on the latter part of the circuit.
No, I'm all for the good of the sport, but now come on now, let's pull your finger out. Let's bring MSL home.
Yeah, absolutely.
We love winning. We love podiums.
Yeah, he was having a good race at Monza last week, and then had an incident. He got taken out, I believe. He had some contact in sort of the last lap there, didn't he? And was unlucky not to finish higher up.
Oh, it was a great spectacle, the Monza race. That was good for the sport.
Yeah, again.
Not so good for us, but we'll take rough and smooth.
Again, if you are new to watching the VRRC YouTube channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, and also hit the notification bell, and watch some of the past races that have been held. There is some awesome racing at some very iconic tracks with these GT4 cars, with the Audi TT Cups. There's various racing on the channel to watch, and you could while away many hours of YouTube time.
Yeah, it's certainly a lockdown special. If you do unfortunately get locked down, you've got hours of entertainment here. You don't have to go to Netflix.
No, and I mean, more importantly, if you actually want to get involved, www.virtualrealityracingclub.com. Just go to the website, have a look at the esports section, see how you can get involved with these guys. They offer coaching, they offer hardware, and obviously there is the community to join in and race. So there's the full package. You can literally, it's your one-stop shop to do everything and get involved, get on track, and have some fun.
McIntyre down to I was going to say cut to 0.2 of a second. This is going to be painful to watch, but I will do. I'll man up.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got McIntyre around 0.2 of a second back from Toth Jones. We've got Merrill's, who's under a second from Omrod. It has to be said, that's a bigger gap than it's been for a wee while with Merrill's and Omrod. It looks like Omrod's maybe not made as many mistakes on this lap and settled into what he's doing, but you can just see in the top right of your picture there, that is the McIntyre-Toth Jones battle, and McIntyre is well and truly locked in onto the back of that Aston Martin, and he's going to look to put Toth Jones under some real pressure.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room to get past. I'll be impressed if he does on the twisty bits. It's a mistake that'll let him past, and then onto that long straight.
Yeah, absolutely. He's certainly there, and he's certainly applying the pressure. But Toth Jones, he's a racer. He can absorb the pressure. He knows what he's doing, doesn't he? He's seasoned, he's experienced, and he'll just be looking at his lines. He'll be doing what he needs to do, and he knows that it's up to McIntyre to make the pass, and Toth Jones just needs to drive his line.
Absolutely. And the eSeries for Alex, when we went into lockdown, it was all he was going to do, because we had a great deal lined up with Aston Martin, and it just evaporated. So eSports has been really good for him, and he's come out, he's fresh, and he's won his first race in an Aston Martin. How special is that for a young racing driver?
Yeah, it's absolutely, it's a dream come true almost, isn't it? And then to do it on the real world track, and then to get into the sim racing, and as you say, sim racing, the lockdown, it's brought real world and sim world together, and this is what you get: some fantastic racing, from some quality sim drivers and some quality real world drivers. We're seeing McIntyre now; he's really trying to take advantage of this.
Really on him.
But is he close enough? Is he close enough? I'm not sure he is. He should have pulled out by now if he was going to get the move done. I think he's too far back. I think the Aston Martin's got the legs on him, and I think Toff Jones is going to bring that home in third place, which will be absolutely fantastic.
That's he doesn't half fly.
But that is Rurik taking the win at Nordschleife on race 1. Absolutely flawless, faultless performance from him. Obviously McIntyre had his issues, but here we see McIntyre trying to make up for that issue and having to do his drive through, but he just hasn't got enough, and Toff Jones absolutely nails the third place and gets the final step on the podium. Dave Marshall finished in second place. McIntyre, Toff Jones, he'd been under pressure from Edmondson for a significant distance of that lap, but there we go, there's Dorman bringing it home in sixth place, Edmondson to bring it home in seventh.
Really enjoyed that. What a great race. Well done, guys.
Howes, Merrill's and Omrod getting on there, going to bring it home, I believe, as they stand in 8th and 9th. We're looking at Max Coates. Fantastic recovery drive from Max, because we saw him have an early spin on lap 1. He even had to do a 3-point turn. We've seen him have some battles on the way around. We've seen a couple of mistakes, but we've seen some great driving in general. And he brings it home in 10th place. A fantastic performance from him.
Yeah, get in there, Max. That's top 10. That'll do. And here's Rich.
Rich Hayden still circulating, 13th place, so he's not bad. I mean, he qualified in 14th, so he's improved on his qualifying. He's had some good battles. He was up as high as, I believe, 9th place during the race, but we can just see from the windscreen there, a little bit of damage. Rich is going to be happy to get this one finished and pull a new car out of the garage for race 2, I believe, because he's had a real battle, not only with the other drivers on the track, but I think with the Mustang as well.
He's sweating like an athlete here. Somebody give him some Lucozade Sport.
Absolutely,
the drinks are available.
He'll be ready for that one. But what an awesome race for the first race at Nordschleife this evening. We knew it wouldn't disappoint, and it very much didn't. Some fantastic racing from the lights out to the checkered flag. Some close battles throughout the field, and that was a great appetizer for race 2.
Yeah, can't wait. That was great fun. And let's dive into the. Are we going straight in, or are we going straight in, or are we going to give them a bit of a?
Yeah, let's go for a chat with the guys in the interview booth. Let's see who we've got down there. Good evening, gentlemen. We've got Alex, Toff Jones, Dave Marshall here. So, Dave, to you first, buddy. As you brought that one home in second place, mate. Fantastic result. 100 kilos of ballast on board. So, well done, buddy. How was that for you?
Yeah, I'm over the moon with that, to be honest with you. It's tough lugging 100 kilograms around here, but luckily I regard it as a bit of a sim driver's track. The lads who's done thousands of laps on over the years on this track know it like the back of their hand, and the people who's jumped on, this week to practice the track, fair play to them. The lads who finished top 10. I know I did a coaching session with Harry Omerod last night, and he'd only done 6 laps around the track in that coaching session, and that was it. So for him to be finishing as high as he did, fair play to everyone who finished behind us.
No, we did see some fantastic racing throughout that race, didn't we, Martin?
Yeah, we did. David, it must be quite amusing having your big fat mate in the car with you going around that circuit. 100 odd kilos. That's some handicap.
Yeah, you almost forget about it, and then you come to a braking zone, and then very quickly you realise the weight's still on board. It makes it very awkward to race, and these cars work best when they're agile, and especially when we get door to door, it's hard when you've got the weight to make it as agile as you can to get undercuts and stuff. So I really came into this round just trying to be damage limitation and try and maintain the points gap that I have. So really happy to come away with second, and fantastic going by Maxi. Like, that pace, even with 80 kilogram in the car, is blistering. So much deserved win for him. I didn't see what happened to Jack, but he still brought it home in 4th, so good result for the team.
Yeah, well done.
Enjoy your drive. That was a champion's drive, mate. That's very, very calculated, very good. Brilliant. Enjoyed it.
Cheers for that, man.
Yeah, well done, Dave, and good luck for race 2. We want to see more of the same, please. Onwards to Alex. Alex, first of all, congratulations on some great racing at the weekend, but to this evening's event as well. That was a solid drive, buddy. Was it what you expected? Did it go to plan if there was a plan?
The plan was to not end up in the wall, because this is obviously a really hard circuit. But once I saw that Jack had some issues and was behind, found 3rd place, I thought, all right, we've got a nice gap. And then Jack just set about catching me up, and yeah, it got a little bit tough at the end. I think the weekend's drive was a little bit easier than this one, but we take whatever we can get. I'm happy with 3rd.
Yeah, I mean,
Alex.
Yeah, Alex. I mean,
that's exactly what I told you. Winning and podiums, yeah, they start coming, don't they?
Yeah, it's getting addictive. This.
It is.
But I mean, Jack kept you very honest, and to be honest with you, you soaked up an awful lot of pressure in that, the last sort of lap of that race. It was a very, very impressive drive from yourself, just not only to soak up that pressure, but then to actually just manage to avoid the slipstream on the last straight as you were bringing it home. You got just enough of a gap there, so he couldn't take advantage of it.
Yeah, Jack really put the pressure on. And I even had a little off as well, so I thought that was it. I thought I'd lost the podium, but fortunately the Aston's very quick in a straight line, so I managed to defend nicely, get a little bit of a gap, and then just drive off down the straight. But I think another lap and it might not have been the same story.
Well, hopefully race 2 for both of you, Dave and Alex, you follow the plan of race 1, try and keep it out of the wall, see what happens in front of you, and hopefully we'll see you making some more places up in race 2. So good luck for race 2, guys.
Cheers.
So that was Alex Toft Jones and Dave Marshall. Second, Dave Marshall was 2nd, Alex was 3rd. As we saw in that race, some fantastic racing from the guys. Dave Marshall pretty much had, I won't say a lonely race in 2nd, but he did what he needed to do. He brought it home. But Alex was the man, certainly under pressure towards the end of that race, and he absorbed it. As I said in the interview there, he soaked it up really well. But some awesome racing throughout the field there, wasn't there, Martin?
I thoroughly enjoyed it, and that's a big circuit to actually get that sort of entertainment throughout. 30 minutes on a long circuit. That was impressive entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you watch the real world endurance racing around there with the GT4s, where sometimes they'll have up to 200 cars on the track. And I think, to be fair, we were rivaling them for entertainment there at some points, because that was absolutely awesome. And the respect and the skill that the drivers were showing each other, and the skill levels that were on display there, that was some very, very good driving from all drivers. We saw a few mistakes, but this is Nordschleife. It's one hell of a lap to get round.
I just couldn't agree more. And we do in commentary enjoy a few mistakes.
I think for me, I won't say the driver of the race, because I think it's difficult around Nordschleife to pick any one driver, because Alex put on a good performance. Obviously, our race winner put on a good performance. Dave Marshall, they all did, but Max Coates, made mistakes early on in the race, and then he just picked the baton back up and just attacked again, as I'm pretty sure he's going to do now, as we're waiting for the lights to come on in the second race.
He just hops in it and drives it like he's nicked it. Not that I should say that, but he does. Right, okay.
Red lights.
Long hold again.
And it's go. They're all getting a little squirrely off the line there as the back ends break free under the power, and we're just watching Edmondson there challenging down into sort of 6th place, I believe. But we've got Max Coates, is that on the inside line, and I think that's Risk on the outside.
It's Edmondson. No, Max has got it.
Yeah, it looks like Max has got it. Risk 2nd, and I'm not sure if it's BMW or Audi 3rd, but it looked like Edmondson's got the inside line for 3rd at the moment.
And a great start from Toft Jones from way back.
Yeah,
What
is
a
that-
great start.
Is that James Merrills as well?
James Merrills as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So a good race for MSL so far, albeit the first 2-3 corners, but they're certainly putting a good show on now, and hopefully they can build on that as Max Coates now has a clear track in front, but a very busy track behind.
Oh,
Edmondson
Edmondson
just gets sideways there and off the track.
I'm so glad he went forward and not backwards there.
Yeah, everybody streams past him and just carries on, and Edmondson will rejoin, but he'll be in last place. But no pressure as McIntyre and Marshall go hammer and tong there side by side, and they're battling for position. It's looking like Marshall's got the inside line there, but that's going to turn to the inside for McIntyre if that job's done.
Oh, and Tough Jones, he's fancying this one.
He's equal in his first race position already. He's in third place, Merrill's in fourth. So Max Coates out in the lead, nearly got a second on Rask in second place, Toff Jones third, Merrill's fourth, Omrod fifth, McIntyre down in sixth, Marshall seventh, and Rask lost it there, so Rask is going to drop down the field again. We saw Rask making a few mistakes in the first race.
Right. Okay, stop it there, because MSL top 3, that'll do.
Unfortunately, 28 minutes to go, and a few drivers with a different opinion.
Absolutely. Oh, these guys are racing. This is brilliant.
Yeah, this is, I mean, at the end of the day, we've got the 10/10 guys of McIntyre and Marshall need to be careful. They don't want to trip over each other. They really do want to play a bit of the team game if they can here. They need to just be measured in their approach and try and get Omrod out of the way and then put the attack on Merrills. But at the moment, it looks like they're just going hammer and tong.
Yeah, what we've seen through the season is that in most of the races, P1 has got away because P2, 3 and 4 have been squabbling. And you've got James Merrills playing a sterling role for MSL here.
Yeah, and
he's
Rask just making a recovery drive there, but Omrod's gone wide in that BMW, and that's allowed McIntyre and Marshall to get through. So that's McIntyre and Marshall. McIntyre up to fourth, Marshall in fifth, and they are now side by side again. So they are playing the team game. They are battling for position, and they're battling for the driver's title.
Yeah, they're racers, so they're getting on with it.
Marshall retakes McIntyre, we see there, and he's back up into fourth place. But we're just looking at the top screen there, and we're seeing Dorman and Rillig trying to get through. Obviously, Rillig hasn't had the best of starts. He's battling away down in 13th place at the moment.
It's interesting, this reverse grid. The guys, have just had stocking starts. Alex Toff Jones, he must have seen, he must have had a Moses of a start. Things must have opened up in front of him. He stormed through.
He did. He had an absolutely fantastic start. But I'm just going to go back to some comments I made in race 1 about O'Farrell. I've just sort of catching glimpses of him in the top screen there, and that car is still looking very, very loose. So I'm not sure it was the damage as we've seen. Was that Omrod into the wall? Yeah, Omrod into the barriers there, and that's going to have done some serious damage because that was a hard hit, and that's his second off on this opening lap. So he's now dropping down the order.
And again.
Yeah. He's picked up some damage. I think he's going to be struggling now. He needs to just sort of reset, like you said, like we always say, and just try and get his head down, assess what damage is, and just settle back into a pace if he can.
Yeah, just looking. Toff Jones is chasing down Max Coates here. James Merrill's doing a sterling job in third place. Marshall and McIntyre must be spitting feathers.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Toff Jones there, literally, like you say, just 2/10 behind Max Coates. Then we've got Marshall 3/10 behind Merrills, and McIntyre's only 3/10 behind Marshall. Marshall's got Merrills according to the leaderboard. Yes, he has indeed, and now Merrills comes under pressure from McIntyre, who's trying to follow Marshall around the outside, and indeed he's gone around the outside. That was an impressive move.
There's a certain amount of inevitability about it, but well done, James. That was great driving. Oh, here we go. What could possibly go wrong here?
Yeah, this is the battle for the lead between two MSL cars. Max Coates, Toff Jones. Max was not the greatest finish in race 1, although he battled back up to 10th after being virtually last at one point. Toff Jones had a podium of 3rd, and at the moment he's holding the lead. absolutely defending that position, but Max is really on the back. He can't get any closer. He's applying the pressure. He's well and truly in the slipstream. It's advantage Toff Jones at the moment, but Max is really looking to take that advantage away from him, as Toff Jones just nipped a bit too much curb there, and it threw him wide, and he'll have had to lift off there, which has put the advantage back to Max Coates. Max Coates is applying the pressure, as we say, as they go into the carousel now, and it's all about getting a good line and a good exit out of here for the next few corners, and it looks like Toff Jones has got that job done equally well as Max Coates.
He pulled 2/10 on that bend alone. That was a great line, and off they go. Look out again, a certain amount of inevitability. The Marshall is on the attack.
The Marshall BMW is moving forward. It's 2 seconds behind Coates. As we've said many times in the first race, remember, Marshall has got that 100 kilos of ballast on board, so a very impressive drive from him if he can close that gap down, which he is doing. He's taken 2/10, taken half a second out of them in that section of the track. So Marshall is really on form now, but Toff Jones is doing what he needs to do. He's dropped Max Coates by a second. So if he can keep some clear air between himself and Max Coates is going to come under pressure from Marshall and McIntyre, who's only half a second behind Marshall. And that may just give Toff Jones a little bit of breathing space.
Yeah, it's gapped 1.5 seconds. But look, Dave Marshall's all over now, all over the back of Max Coates. Yeah, just got to get to the straight bits. Come on, Max, get to the straight bits.
It's looking like just further down the field as well, it's looking like Rask's having further issues, as I've just noticed on the board. O'Farrell, Hayden, Edmondson have all managed to go back past him, as he's maybe made another mistake, but Hayden having a good race up in 9th place. O'Farrell in that very loose looking McLaren in 8th, and we're just looking at Marshall now really putting the pressure on Max Coates, showing him the nose of that BMW, but it doesn't matter which mirror Max Coates looks out of, he's got a BMW at either side, and it's very, very loose from the Aston Martin there. Max did really well to hold on to that, and I think even Marshall would have been nervous as that Aston Martin sort of went side to side with the back end.
I think he's making it wider than Q Branch could do for James Bond here, that Aston.
But those 10/10 boys need to be careful that they don't take each other out. But Marshall's on the inside, McIntyre's following him, and McIntyre may even get the inside line on Marshall now as they come onto the straight. He's going to have the slipstream, but has that Aston Martin got the grunt on the BMWs? We could see a full reversal here.
That was a great move by the two 10/10 guys. I have to admit it, in a sporting-like sort of way. Yeah, Max will love this chase down the straight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Marshall is now behind McIntyre. McIntyre's got that job done with the slipstream, but Max Coates is still hanging on in there. We know from race 1 that the Aston Martin has got a fair bit of grunt down the straight, and if Max can just keep in touch, he's certainly got the skill level and the tenacity to keep up with these guys and put them under a bit of pressure, as we've seen before. We're just looking at Rohrig on Merrill's, I believe that is, just trying to go around the outside, and he has done it. It's whether he can keep it into the braking zone, and yeah, he's got the job done, swept around the outside of that portion. Quite a tidy move from him, albeit it was only just before the straight ran out.
Yeah, and look at Dave Marshall, he's past Jack McIntyre. That's just great driving, enjoying this.
Yeah, just take note of that gap. So Toff Jones has got 3-second gap as they've gone over the start-finish line. Let's just see if and how fast that gap does come down as they enter back onto the Nordschleife track in just a few moments. But yeah, Toff Jones leads, Marshall 2nd, McIntyre 3rd, Coates 4th, Kletzer 5th, Rohrig 6th, Merrill 7th. Hayden just moved up to 8th, Rillig 9th, O'Farrell 10th, Edmondson 11th, Thorman 12th, Rask 13th, Omrod 14th, Press 15th, and Larami in 16th.
Yeah, that's Rich Hayden's enjoying this one. He's never short of company.
He's always battling, and he is a fighter, and he's he's a skilled driver, so he will be in his full position. But someone's just spun in the background. I'm not quite sure who that was. I think it was it Rillig?
Oh, he's having a bit of a nightmare, this one.
He's having a bad race this time, unfortunately. But yeah, it was indeed Rillig, just got sideways, and in fact, I think he was 90 degrees to the track in the. I'm sure if that was in the stadium area, the arena. But we're looking at McIntyre still up behind Marshall, and in fact, Toff Jones is 3.1 seconds, 3.2 seconds up the road as these two guys are now battling.
well, this is what can happen, and I have to say I'm delighted for a couple of reasons. One, it's great for us to watch, and B, it gives Alex and Max a chance to disappear and Max catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw Jack McIntyre in the first race. He was quick in that BMW. He put Alex under a lot of pressure in the latter stages, and he's now applying that same pressure to Marshall. And with the ballast that Marshall's carrying, you've got to say that the McIntyre is favourite to maybe try and put a move on. I mean, McIntyre's got 80 kilos of ballast on, but even Dave Marshall said in the interview that he knew Jack McIntyre was flying in that first race, so he's fully aware of what McIntyre can bring to the table, and he will start feeling that pressure.
Jack is quick, there's no doubt. But we've been blessed with this series. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Some great standard of driving all the way through the field. Great entertainment.
Yeah, just a couple of comments that I've missed because the racing's been so exciting, but I will read them out. Mark Hicks, watch out, Aston Martins, the Dark Destroyers are right behind you. Fantastic. Craig Lax, let's go Max Coates and Dave Marshall, Northeast Power. Yeah, well, I'm with you there, buddy. I'm from the north, not quite the northeast, but yeah, I'm loving the racing. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, look at that. It's down to 2.3 seconds in half a lap.
Yeah, Mark Hicks goes on to say 1 down, 1 to go. So yeah, that's reference obviously the Aston Martins. I think Mark's money's on the fact that the BMs are going to take the Aston.
I'll give him that. But these guys, they're working together now.
They seem to have settled down a little bit, although I think when it comes down to a bit of a slipstream fest on this start-finish straight, the straight on the run home, I do think Jack will make a move, and if they're sensible about it, maybe Dave will not fight it too hard and just look for the greater good, as it were, that they'll catch up to Toff Jones.
Yeah, third place for Dave Marshall is just ideal. Nothing worse than that. They've dropped Max Coates. 2.1 seconds. 2 seconds. It's like the inevitability of the ticking clock at New Year's Eve, isn't it? It's just going to happen.
It is, and it's difficult at such a track like this with such a long lap to put it into perspective, because you can't sort of say, oh, they're gaining 2-3 tenths a lap. It's such a long lap that you just watch that gap come down wherever they are, and that's it, isn't it? Like you say, it's the inevitability that he's faster. As we're just looking at Edmondson, who's under pressure from Hayden, who's under pressure from Farrell, who's under pressure from Rillig, who's under pressure from Dorman. So we have a bit of a freight train going on there with an Audi at the front and a Mustang in close attendance behind, and it's just all very, very close at the moment.
Yeah. Toff Jones, he's doing a good job, but there's just no matter of inevitability. Those two guys, they are quick and they are racing for a championship.
You say there's an amount of inevitability. I think that, it's inevitable they're going to catch him, but look at what Alex did in the first race. He held Jack off, and it wasn't just a last minute that he held him off for. It was virtually the whole of the last lap. He put the performance in, he soaked up the pressure, as we can see now on screen that they are literally running as one, all three cars, and we're seeing Marshall using some of the grass there as he's trying to draw alongside McIntyre, and if he can hang this round the outside of this slight right into the lefts, he's got the inside for 2 very important corners, and he might just get that move done, and I believe he has. Yeah,
what could possibly go wrong here, as we say?
No, he's discretion the better part of valor, as he's just dropped back in behind McIntyre there. But I think if they weren't teammates, he may well have tried to make that move stick.
Yeah, I'll just go back to my statement. It's inevitable, but well done, Alex. Good effort. We'll take another podium.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic performance, because you've got to say Max Coates, who's also having a good race in this second race, he's in 4th, but he's 5.5 seconds behind Marshall. So as we're now seeing McIntyre trying to get up alongside Seth Jones, but I don't think that's going to work. Indeed, he's had to give the move up and drop back in behind again, and this isn't really the place for overtakes unless your opponent makes a mistake. Toff Jones has just run really wide up onto the curbs there, but again, no room for McIntyre to capitalise on that mistake, and Marshall, I believe, he's sat back a little bit, he's watching, he's just waiting, and he's going to see what happens in front of him.
He's just watching this. That's a sensible thing to do from Dave Marshall's point of view. Allow yourself enough room, but be close enough to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, Toff Toff Jones is soaking up this pressure really well, and to be honest with you, I do believe he's going to soak this up for a little bit longer. It's really, that's Edmondson sideways again on the track, and that's Hayden off the track. So I wonder if those two have come together, and it looked like Hayden was maybe waiting for Edmondson. Two separate incidents observed from the director there. Just the Hayden and Edmondson both departed the track there, unfortunately.
Right, here we go. Needs to get a good line off this next. Here we go. This is going to be close.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's room for a pass down here. It's all about just keeping it as close as you can through here. As it jinks left, jinks right, and then absolutely flat out through this slight left into this right-hander. And this is where you start breaking it down, drop it down a gear as you go into the right-hander. Then you drop it down another gear as you head into the left. Not taking too much of that outer curve, just touching it as he does there nicely, and then hook it hard into the left and try and get the banking to throw you out as McIntyre just runs a little bit onto the grass there and just costs him a couple of yards. Toff Jones just needs to get these next two corners absolutely perfect to keep that throttle buried and try and avoid the slipstream from McIntyre and Marshall, because that will be the two dark destroyers that will come and get him.
Yeah, he's done that bit, and Dave Marshall's looking very interested there.
Absolutely, yeah, that's what I say. I mean, I think it's going to be a double slipstream, and Marshall is going to be the carrying the most speed out of all three of them by the time they reach the brow of the hill. It's looking like Toff Jones has got enough of a gap to avoid the slipstream issue here, and I think it's more McIntyre is going to get swallowed up by Marshall.
He just did the banking curve. He just pulled 2/10 on that bend alone, and that gave him the gap.
Absolutely, yeah. I think McIntyre was just pushing a little bit too hard, and as we said all along for that lap, Marshall had just dropped back to watch and see what was happening, and Marshall has now got back up into second as we saw Jack McIntyre hitting that inside curb very hard. He needs to try and just settle down and avoid mistakes like that, because those are the mistakes that are costing him the odd tenth here and there. Marshall's going to have to defend into turn one, and he's following Toff Jones on the inside down into turn one, and this is going to be interesting as McIntyre tries to go around the outside, which will turn into the inside if he can make that stick, but Marshall just got a little bit loose coming out, and it looks like McIntyre's got the inside line, and he has got that move done.
It's very clean racing from these guys who are actually racing for a championship, and McIntyre goes a bit wide there, and Marshall's got him again. Oh, this is great stuff.
That was just wheel arches touching, and then that looked like McIntyre just taking to the grass, but it's still Marshall in second, McIntyre in third. But most importantly of all, Toff Jones still in the lead. There will be another lap after this one.
Yeah, this is going to be a long 11 minutes for Alex here.
And I don't want to point this out to you, Martin, but I am gonna. Roerig is now less than a second behind Coates. So he's managed to close that gap right up to Max. So we're going to have the Aston Martin defending against another BMW. I say very shortly now.
He's right now. Yeah, Roerig's had a great drive to get back up to the front here, and we'll see. These two guys are actually allowing Alex to get away a bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say. I mean, Alex is doing what he needs to do. He's covering his lines. He's driving the racing line. He's doing very little defending.
Oh, that was cheeky.
That was very cheeky. The door was left open. There was not. They aren't defending against each other too hard, but they are attacking hard. As we see on the bottom screen, Max Coates just made a little bit of a mistake there, swallowed up too much curb, cost himself some time. But Roerig cannot capitalise on that again, and he's just tucked right up behind Max now, and just applying the pressure and waiting for that Aston to make a mistake or give him an opportunity. But yeah, the two BMWs of 10/10ths of McIntyre and Marshall absolutely at it, hammer and tongue. And as I was saying, Toff Jones is just doing what he has to do. He's driving the fastest lines, and he's only defending when he needs to.
And is the fuel lighting for Alex? He's showing some pace here. It's either that or he knows where he's going now.
Well, race one was a very disciplined drive from Alex, and race two is proving to be equally as good. Obviously a better position, but he's doing the same as what he did in race one. He's following his lines, he's doing what he has to do, and he's creating just enough of a gap when it matters to not allow those two BMWs to get past him.
Exactly, and look at Max Coates as well. He's loving this. You can just tell him he'd be laughing.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing to take away. People, drivers like these guys on the grid, Max Kurtz, Alex Toth-Jones, Dave Marshall, McIntyre, Rurik, all of them, they enjoy a battle. There's very, very few drivers that actually want to just disappear into the distance and not have a battle, because the Nordschleife can be a very lonely place if that happens. There's nothing like battling drivers of equal ability on the track, and certainly there's plenty of that going on this evening as the two BMWs of McIntyre and Marshall are closed right back up onto the back of Toth-Jones again within half a second of him. Max Coates further down in fourth, defending against Rurik in fifth. Equally as close. Absolutely awesome racing from the whole of the top five at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And the lines, that defensive lines from the two Aston drivers, it's exemplary. This is a textbook drive. That said, look out.
Yeah, it's not over till it's over. As we've said, they're going to complete this lap and they are going to come round to do another lap after this one. So we have got, plenty more racing left. As we're just seeing, McIntyre is showing the front end of that BMW to the inside mirror of Toth-Jones all the time. Maybe just trying to upset his concentration, maybe trying to make him brake late, as Max is taking a very tight inside defensive line there. But we're seeing in Rurik behind him, he's got Kletzer in very close attention as well.
His way through.
Has he though? Has he? Toth-Jones got the inside, but who's going to pull up the hill the hardest? It looks like the BMW
he's got it.
That's McIntyre, and Marshall's gone through as well.
Yeah. It's well fought. There was a certain amount of inevitability, but stay in there, Alex. There's a big long straight.
He's still there. He's not giving up yet. He's showing Marshall that he's still in close attention, as Marshall indeed steps out very sideways as he takes a little bit too much curb there and lost the back end slightly, and that'll give Toth-Jones the opportunity to maybe come back alongside him. Indeed he has. He's hanging it round the outside. He's going to try and do it, and he's got that move back. He's back up into second place. Fantastic move. Max, and while that's been going on, Max Coates has lost out to Rurik there, and he's hanging onto the back of that BMW, but he's got to look in his mirror also, because Kletzer has closed up on these two while they've been battling, as Max is showing his nose and going for the inside line, and he might just get that move done. The MSL boys are not giving up this evening.
I tell you what, Philip Thompson, our media guru, will be loving this. This is great coverage, great racing.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic, and again, said many times, but it can't be said enough. Fantastic camera angles from Mikey out at Simply Race tonight to allow us to commentate on this as we entering in the top screen into the carousel with Toth-Jones and Marshall in close attendance, and then in the little picture-in-picture we've got Max Coates defending against Rurik and Kletzer. So we've got
Kletzer fancying this.
Yeah, we've got battles all over the place as we're looking at Marshall trying to go around the outside, using a little bit of grass, and he's speechless. That shouldn't be allowed.
That shouldn't happen.
That should not happen.
How do you do that?
You could just see how much later he braked than Alex there, because Alex was having to brake harder for the tighter line that Marshall had forced him to take, and he managed to just put it round the outside, which gave him the inside. As we're just looking at Rurik, really, Max is soaking up so much pressure from that BMW at the moment. This is impressive. He's not giving him the space.
How did Max get back in front there? Where's
he
come from?
He hung it round the outside, believe it or not, on one of the earlier corners, which gave him the inside into the tight right before the carousel, and he got the move done. But Rurik is really putting the pressure back on, flashing the lights. He knows he's got Kletzer behind, and if he has to start defending hard against Kletzer, that may just give Coates the initiative and the advantage to get another gap on him. And they are going to come round and cross the start-finish line and have to do another full lap.
Oh, good.
Yeah, absolutely.
This.
Absolutely. I may lose my voice before the end of the race, but yeah, it's absolutely exciting stuff, and just lights to flag racing, which is what we want from these, and this is what we've come to expect from the VRRC Championships. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, good. Look at that graphic. That's brilliant. And the car's dancing around. He's flashing his lights. He's getting annoyed. And the red mist. I'm waiting for Kletzer to get a little bit more involved with this.
This is the beauty of real racers and top line sim racers, in the respect that you can see from this rear view camera that Rurik potentially has got more pace than Coates in that BMW, but he can't make the move. Max is driving his lines, as we say so often. These drivers are driving their lines. Nordschleife isn't the widest circuit. The Aston Martin's got flared arches on the back. He's certainly wide enough to try and keep that BMW behind, and he's doing a great job. No matter what Rurik does, he cannot at this moment in time get past Coates, although the slipstream is going to assist him now, and he may get the job done now.
The Aston's got a lot of grunt. Yeah, look.
It's not easy. It's certainly not easy.
It's just the BMW. There's lights be popping on the dashboard.
Rurik he'll be wondering what he has to do. He'll be wondering how many ponies that Aston Martin has got under the bonnet, because it certainly had the legs on that BMW then. I mean, that was absolutely amazing. The fact that the BM was tucked up so tightly from the start of that straight in the slipstream, and he could not make it work.
You can flash all you like. I'm not moving over. I think we've seen a lot of those drivers on the M40.
Absolutely, mate. Yes, absolutely.
Stuck in the fast lane, out of the way. Dave Marshall, 1.8 seconds behind McIntyre.
Yeah,
do you know what? I think Dave might just settle for that.
I was just going to say the same myself, because obviously in the interview Marshall said that McIntyre had the pace in the first race, as we'd just seen Rurik maybe trying to hold a tighter line, but Max is going to keep it pinned, abusing track limits a little bit to hug the outside line, but it looks like Rurik's managed to just take the inside line. Oh, and actually Coates has just given him a tap on the back end. He's not benefited from it, but Kletzer certainly has.
Kletzer has.
He's got past Coates. Rurik manages to maintain fourth, albeit only just and under pressure from Kletzer, as Matt Coates is alongside Kletzer and trying to fight that position back. Kletzer just tapped the back end. Kletzer just tapped the back end of Rurik, and that's given Coates the initiative back, and he's back up into fourth. Kletzer fifth, Rurik sixth.
I think Max has just sorted out the two locals. Oh dear.
Yeah,
what could possibly go wrong?
We'll leave that one for the steward's notebook and let them have a look at that one. But yeah, McIntyre out in the lead on the final lap now. There's only 2 minutes on the clock, but they will obviously have to complete the lap they're on now. Marshall is 2 seconds back, and as you say, Marshall, that's not a bad finish for his championship. He's going to bring it home with a third and a second place this evening. He probably wouldn't have expected that at the start of the evening with 100 kilos of ballast, I don't think.
He'll take that. He'll absolutely take that.
And take nothing away from Toff Jones, podium, third place so far. If he keeps it going in the right direction for his final lap, another fantastic performance from him. But the biggest improver from this race so far is Max Coates. If he can hang on to that fourth place, he's got Kletzer 2.5 seconds back now after that little incident in the arena area. So he's got to really just try and keep his head down and keep that Aston going.
I think that was the James Bond spikes coming out the wheels there.
Yeah, absolutely. Using all the tricks that he's got at his disposal. But I mean, looking down the rest of the field now, the guys are split up a little bit. They're Edmondson's up behind Rast by 2.3 seconds, and that's about the closest gap on the track, apart from Marshall and McIntyre. So the guys really, as we see Edmondson taking an alternative line through the chicane there, just really missing the first turn out and straight lining it. He's looking to try and catch up on Rask. He's 2.1 back, so he's certainly on a bit of a charge on this last lap. Marshall 2.2, definitely settled for it. I think now he's just bringing it home steady away. And Toff Jones at 4.7 seconds back in third. Fantastic performance.
Yeah, great performance, and bring it home, Dave, and that'll do. Nice day's work, so to speak.
Yeah, Mick Sutton on the chat says great racing tonight. Couldn't agree more, Mick. Mark Hicks, well done, Marshall. Now bring the Dark Destroyers home 1-2. So yeah, McIntyre first, Marshall second. That's the 10/10th racing team in the two black BMWs. They couldn't wish for a better result. Obviously, a 1-2 doesn't get any better in the team standings.
Oh no! Look at Kletzer. Kletzer's not happy. He's chasing down Max Coates at a rate of knots here.
Yeah, he's closed in. He's only 7/10 back, and just to mention, it looks like we've got a couple of retirements. We've got Hayden in the pits and Larami in the pits as well. Looks like Hayden's only just gone to the pits, but Larami's been in there for a lap. As we're looking at Kletzer on the bottom of your screen there, looking towards Max Coates in the MSL Green Aston Martin. Top screen is the two 10/10ths BMWs of McIntyre and Marshall in first and second. But Kletzer, yeah, he's had a little bit of an incident. He caught up to Max Coates and Rurik. Coates and Rurik came together, which brought Kletzer right into it.
Look at this. Dave Marshall right on the back of McIntyre. McIntyre's had a moment by the sounds of it.
Yeah, that gap's come right down, so this race is not over. Marshall may just have the incentive, especially if McIntyre's picked up any damage, because from what I've seen from these guys so far, they've not really had any incidents, so the cars probably were running at 100%. I've seen Marshall just really trying to get on the power there, and he was a little bit sideways out of that corner, which will cost him some time, as we in fact see the relative time just creeping up slightly now.
I'll tell you what, you were right. It's the concentration level around here is phenomenally high, and this is tiring. This is an hour of racing plus 25 minutes of qualifying.
Yeah, we're seeing Kletzer's trying to go around the outside of Max Coates on the bottom screen now as well.
Best of luck with that then.
Absolutely, because Max will not give him an inch if he doesn't have to. He will, that position is his at the moment, and again he just cuts across the front of Kletzer and lets him know he's still there. He's not really going to make this easy for him, as you wouldn't expect.
A little love tap, I guess.
Yeah, there's not much room for overtaking here at this part of the track. It's so fast and the corners are so slight that you're really relying on the other driver to make a mistake. As we see McIntyre and Marshall go through the carousel now.
7/10ths.
7/10ths. Jack still holding on to it. Marshall, I think, now will be he won't try and make a move unless Jack makes a mistake. He's going to try and hang on to that slipstream and make that move on the final straight.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. He's just going, you know what, this is just manna from heaven for me.
Just seeing Max losing out a little bit in the carousel to Kletzer. He just went in there a little bit hot and came out a little bit high, which meant he had to lift and didn't get the greatest of exits. But Kletzer did it textbook, and he closed right up onto Max, because Max had an advantage going into the carousel, but nowhere for Kletzer to take advantage of that, and he is stuck behind Max, albeit in very close attention, but he just can't do anything about it at the moment. But again, up top screen, McIntyre Marshall is just holding station in second place, like we say, 5-6 back. He's just playing that wait and brief, and we know Dave Marshall is a very tactical textbook driver. He can do that, and he can do that for the rest of this lap, and potentially he will try and take advantage on the slipstream.
Yeah, he'll take a win or he'll take a second. He's that calculating, which is always admired a champion.
Absolutely, and again, not to forget Toff Jones, who's had a great early part of the race. He held those two black BMWs back for quite some time, on merit as well. It was great driving, great defending. Kletzer just trying to show the nose to the inside of Max Coates there. But yeah, Toff Jones in a safe third place at the minute, as long as he can just keep it all clean, tidy, and just on the tarmac. Max Coates has really got his handful with Kletzer now. Kletzer's really pushing, obviously a little bit frustrated from his earlier mistake in the arena section, but he's pushing as hard as he can, and he's looking to try and make a move on that Aston. But to be fair, Martin, I don't think when they get to the straight, that BMW, as we saw with the 10/10ths boys, they're going to struggle to get past him.
Yeah, no, Max will be off, absolutely off like a rocket. 4/10ths at the front, coming onto the straight very shortly.
Yeah, he's closing now. Is Marshall? You can see in the top right. He is closing. He's closing right up. Albeit, is it enough? They're just going to start climbing the hill, and sometimes that just takes the edge off the slipstream a little bit, and it has done. Marshall wasn't quite close enough by the looks of it, but he's still gaining. He's still gaining. It's going to be, as they come over the brow, they're going to be side by side, and it's going to go right down to the braking zone. Or is it? No, Marshall's got the move done. He got the move done. He's in front now. Can he hold it as they head into the final couple of braking zones of the track? They're going to go left, they're going to go right. Marshall's got the advantage. McIntyre's all over. He's on the grass. He's pushing really, really hard as Marshall breaks it down into the right hand. McIntyre spun it. He needs to get pointing the right way again before Toff Jones comes and takes advantage of that mistake from McIntyre. What a fantastic race from Marshall to bring it home in first place. A very, very calculated drive from Dave Marshall. Well done, Dave Marshall.
Wasn't that brilliant?
Absolutely
what a
fantastic.
Great drive. He thought that all the way through. That's a thinking man's win.
McIntyre brings it home in second. Toff Jones 1.7 seconds behind McIntyre in third. Max Coates hanging on to fourth place at the moment. And it looks like Kletz has had an incident because Rurig is 6 seconds behind Coates. That's Coates in the fourth place. Rurig going to bring it home in fifth. Kletzer in sixth, and we're looking at Rillig in seventh with James Merrills in eighth, pushing, but looking like Rillig is going to bring this home in seventh place.
Brilliant.
Absolutely fantastic. Brilliant. Yeah, I actually got excited there, didn't I? That was fantastic.
That was what a great race. Well, what a great evening. Thank you, guys. That was just great entertainment.
Yeah, hats off to all the drivers in that race. I mean, Nordschleife is not an easy track to turn up and race, as we see Rask bringing it home, or will bring it home in the 11th place. O'Farrell in that McLaren, a very loose-looking McLaren, as we said in race 1 and race 2, so he's brought it home in 10th place. Just crossed the line now. Edmondson down in 12th. He showed a lot of promise earlier on. He was running around about 7th place, and he just seemed to make a couple of mistakes, and that's cost him a lot of positions this evening.
Yeah, it's just strange because he's had that Audi sorted. That's just a shame. Difficult circuit, but great evening's entertainment. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And don't forget, if you want to get involved with the action, as I said earlier, www.virtualrealityracingclub.com. Have a look on the website, lots on offer, and just get signed up, join the community, and see if we could be talking about you on the track very, very soon.
Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. I'm looking forward to going down to the interview room, which we'll do very shortly. Because I guess we're going to be fairly tight on time because it's 3 minutes past 9 local time. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think the drivers will be catching their breath after that race because no one's jumped in the commentary booth yet. But as you say, they will jump down very shortly, I believe. But I think they will be just calming themselves down because I think they'll be as excited as we were.
Well, I need a drink. No answer to that one.
I'm just deciding which drink I'm going to get, but I know it's not going to be a soft one.
Kind of a softer one after that. That's that's very entertaining. And when you think an hour's racing, 25 minutes qualifying, plus the guys were out there practicing prior to, and these sims do actually give you a good workout. We'll ask that question, or I'll let you ask the question.
Okay, well, we've got Dave Marshall in the interview room, so I'm going to drop down there to see Dave Marshall and Alex Toth-Jones now and ask them some questions. Good evening, gentlemen.
Dave Marshall, you're live across the ether. What a great drive! Calculated.
There wasn't much calculating about that. That is just raw racing, that. First of all, fair play to Alex. I was brave putting it around the outside, and when it came off, I was like, he could have quite easily pushed me on there, but fair play to him, he gave us the space, and it was a mega race because of that. And then, Jack was gone up the road, and there was no chance I was catching up. We were lapping very similar, if not he was lapping a bit quicker than me. And I just saw him go down into the hotel, and he just nudged the wall, and I thought, this might be on here. And then, just another calculated end and down the back straight, and just managed to get past him. So he had to go for the move at the end.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely. Champions drive. I'm not saying that it's all over yet, mate, but really love the way you drive and you think things through. Very impressed, mate.
Cheers, Martin. Thanks.
Yeah, we said we were watching obviously very closely there, Dave, and like we said, we were at one point we were thinking you'd settle for second, but then Jack made a little bit of a mistake that allowed you to close that gap up. So yeah, just nothing more to say than echo Martin's comments. Great drive, and yeah, it did. As much as you say it wasn't calculated or play, it looked very calculated, and it looked very impressive, mate.
It was a fair tough race, to be fair, because I think looking at Jack's car, he just had a little bit more front end than I did, which meant I struggled on the slow speed stuff just to stay on him, but I seemed out certain corners just to get on the power a bit better and carry a bit more speed out. So the cars were fairly even regarding weight and the lap time, but yeah, certain cars were stronger in different areas, so hence why there were certain areas where we were gaining and certain areas where we were pulling. But fantastic race, Jack. That's respect, that is.
I love your spoken modesty, Dave. You let your driving do the talking for you, and I've been around champions, and that's a championship.
Cheers,
drive,
mate. That means a lot. Thanks.
Yeah, Joe, that's a champion's drive, and champion's comments certainly drives the car to its strengths and works around the weaknesses. Fantastic. Brilliant stuff, Dave. Onwards to next week, mate. And we move now on to our second place finisher, although only just second. Jack, I thought you had that in the bag, mate. Hello, Jack. I'm not sure Jack can hear us at this moment in time, so we'll move on to Alex Toth Jones. Successful evening for you, Alex. Some great driving.
Yeah, that wasn't easy, that one. I managed to just about get past Max and hope he backed everybody up a little bit longer. He did a good job of that, and then I knew it wouldn't be long before them two caught me up. They're a bit quick round here. But yeah.
Yeah, I know Martin was commenting a couple of times that it was the inevitability of the BMWs catching you was there, but as we kept saying, to be honest, you proved it in race one that you know how to defend, and Nordschleife isn't an easy track to get by. Albeit they did get by you, you certainly didn't make it easy for them. It was a great drive.
No, I must admit the two moves were pretty mega. I'll take my hat off to that. I had to concede, but I wasn't going to give up easy. Yeah, them two. Mega fast and proved it, and yeah, we nearly got Jack at the end when they had a bit of a nightmare in the last corner, but no, from the back of the grid I'll take third again, and yeah, I enjoyed that one.
Yeah,
Get in there, Alex.
1.7 seconds behind Jack at the finish line, so that was you almost had him. If he'd have just taken that little bit longer to recover from his exit onto the grass, you would have had it. But yeah, great drive.
Thank you.
Get in there, Alex. That's another good one. Another bloody trophy. Yeah, it's intoxicating, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, I'd like making a habit of it, but yeah, I wish it'd be easier than that one.
I think it's easy. A bit like you watching you in the gym. That wasn't easy watching that.
Work hard, drive easy.
Yeah, well, that's kind of it. So, it's a bit like me. I work. I don't work hard. I work smart, and that was a great drive, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I think
catch up soon.
Yeah, we'll catch you very soon, and we'll catch you, in fact, at the next round. And I think we were going to have a word with Rich Hayden, our Mustang pilot. Fantastic. To be honest, mate, you had a reasonable race in the first race. You got fairly well up the leaderboard at one point, and you were having an impressive drive. But then we saw you have a bit of an off. We went on board with you, and it was the windscreen was in many pieces. So he obviously didn't make your job any easier to wrestle that Mustang around Nordschleife.
I tell you what, not being able to see out the windscreen actually made it easier to drive. Just before we go on, is Jack? Jack, are you there? Yeah, is he? I don't think he's here. I think he's probably a bit upset about that last corner. No, it was. Yeah, I always knew it was going to be difficult in the Mustang at the Nordschleife. But yeah, that was really hard. And then race 2, I decided to play a bit more tactical in kit and to keep my pace nice and steady. But unfortunately, I had a couple of people go off in front of me and I caught them. So my steering wheel was 90 degrees to the left while I was driving in a straight line, so I pitted it and retired.
No worries. I mean, it was a good performance, like we say, in a car that was always going to be a little bit of a handful around here. But the next track should suit you a little bit. The Le Mans circuit with all those nice long straights for you, and get that throttle buried, and don't worry too much about the corners.
Well, I was hoping. You know, not that I put that circuit in just for the Mustang, but but you know, there is a small possibility I can finish in the top 10 next week. Yeah, hopefully. I'll put some laps in.
To be honest, mate, based on your performances in the first half of these two races this evening, incidents apart, there's a very strong chance you'll finish in the top 10, because tonight, like I said, the first race was a good performance, and it was just a bit of unluckiness that really it cost you a few places. So I think very strong chance. Yeah,
it's just that, I mean, this car is on. To drive it quickly, you are on the absolute knife edge all the time, and that combined with the Nordschleife, where you need 200% concentration, was just too difficult. So yeah, let's hope Le Mans Go fares better for me. But seems I watched the end of the stream after I'd pitted, and that looked fantastic. And well done to you guys, great commentary as well. So the stream looked great, Mike, and the comments were great too. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Rich. It was great watching you again, and it wasn't quite the Rich Hayden show from Bonza, but yeah, you certainly played your part again. And that Mustang is a great wild card in the middle of everything.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, what I would say to anybody watching that organises any races, if you're organising GT4 races and you want some excitement, make sure there's a Mustang on the grid, because as a commentator, if we get a quiet spot, we just need the producer to go to the Mustang, and that's fine. It covers it all.
And I'm available for hire to drive it.
Well, it takes a special kind of person, mate, to drive it, so maybe you'll get some opportunities.
Oh, I'm definitely special, for sure.
It's definitely special. Yeah. That's what we love about you.
I try my best.
You're very trying.
Let's wrap it up there, guys. Yeah, thank you very much, one and all, for taking part and providing the entertainment, and well done to Dave Marshall, Jack McIntyre, and Alex Doth-Jones this evening.
And to everybody else who made the event just an absolute stonking one again. Thank you, guys. And catch up at Le Mans.
There we have it. The podium finishers and the Mustang pilot all in for interviews. Some absolutely fantastic racing this evening with the VRRC GT4 Esports Championship, sponsored by MSL Motorsport Consultancy. That threw up some fantastic racing, just as the previous round did. I could go on all night, but I won't. Next week we've got Le Mans, and I'm sure that's going to be just as exciting as it is the final round of the GT4 Esports Championship. I've been Steve Proudly. Martin, anything to wind that up with?
No, just cheers. I'm going to open a bottle of something nice and just reflect, and I've had a great time. Thanks, Steve. Thanks to Michael Yao and all of the team VRRC. Great event. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to everyone for watching, and be sure to tune in next week. I've been Steve Proudly. That was Martin Jones. Thank you very much for watching. Good night.
themselves now.
The inside of Coates.
Artcis gets too heavily involved.
And that's Whitehead and Coates.